Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. We are live, and we're basically just a couple of chicken wings away from being a beat-ups right now. There's basketball games all over the place. We've got March Madness. The Sweet 16 is underway, chat. Alabama, BYU, of course, in progress. And we may get a 90 piece in this one. Do we need to go through and look at what the highest scoring games of the tournament have been up until this point? We know that we've gotten some 90-point performances from the individual teams. I mean, Duke, Arizona, and obviously, this point of the rounds, chat, a little bit of the better teams. Well, some of these teams were themselves in the 80 to 90 range in that first round of the tournament, but for both teams actually getting there, to get like what was the over-under for this game? Was it 180? Do we need to check? Do they have it on the college site, chat? If they put the gambling info on the college site, that's how you know that we're cooked, chat. I mean, ESPN, it's sports, it's still like a third part. I guess they're broadcasting games and stuff, but they're still not like the league that is the entity that is the sports themselves. So, and I guess does the NFL lean into the odds and all that stuff here? They do as well too. Let me check it real fast and see if they had the over under for this game, because I imagine it might be in that range, chat. It might be in that range. We've got two high-powered offensive teams. Both of them, I think, are going to be leading into that game plan to try to win this game. And we've also got some NBA on as well, too. The Spurs are only down by 6 to the Cavs in the first quarter. So we'll take that as a win at that point in the game. And in terms of the spread as well, too, that'd be an interesting pause. But money line over under 188.5. So they're thinking, it could be 95s all the way around. Can I do math, chat? It's going to be 90s, 90 plus either way around. And as of right now, 32-28, we're definitely up ahead. Oh, that's the live odds. Yeah. So either way, the live odds to 188.5 is, we're in for an offensive battle, chat. I don't know if we have the closing odds for where they were at when the game started. But yeah, as of right now, of course, they're skyrocket. Alabama minus 360 on the money line at this point, chat. So BYU down 4. Alabama minus 360. You guys, this is why you tune into the live Rabbit Sam. We're maybe giving you free money, but as the game goes on, I don't know. Again, are the defenses going to tighten or pause, or is the offense itself just going to kind of have that sloppiness that it can have at the end of game scenario? It just happens at the end of games, chat. Even with the best of players, the offense is sometimes not always a thing on a possession-to-possession basis. That is the primary part of the game. Cavs Warriors 2016, Cavs making their 3-1 comeback in that series in Game 7. Like the last couple of minutes of that game, it's not like a great offensive game. As the games get closer, chat, and as the moments get more intense, sometimes it's just the defense, the sloppy play, then the star players just on each end hit a couple of big shots either way, and all of a sudden you're cooking. Obviously, in that case, it was Kyrie Irving. But we also have Florida versus Maryland about to tip, chat. What do we got? National anthem, starting lineups? They're huddling up. So, we're about to go, chat. Tonight is going to be a fun, we got offenses all over the place, chat. I know Arkansas, Texas Tech. Texas Tech is not always like an offensive powerhouse, chat. But everybody else, again, BYU, Alabama, Maryland, Florida have been super fun as of late. And I don't know if this is going to be a fun kind of crisscross matchup as well, too, because you've got Clayton, the guard for Florida, and you've got Queen, the big for Maryland, leading both of those teams respectively, chat. So, Florida does have, of course, some interior presence in Maryland. With their interior presence as well, too. Is that going to help fend off some of the guard play from, and not that maybe Queen is a shot blocker or defender, but you got some other, you got Reese there maybe to make up for some of the plays, chat. A big Julian Reese night. It's tournament time. This is when they step up and make plays. Is Jordan Hawkins also related to Angel Reese? Is that what it was, chat? So we've seen the family do well in the tournament. Maybe that's the thing we should have just bet on, chat, going in. It's like the Angel Reese family, they're going to be in the Elite Eight. They're going to be in the Final Four. They're going to make a run. It is what it is. And they're about to tip right now as well, too. You can see the size and athleticism as well. Shout out to Michigan for taking down Maryland in the Big Ten championship game. Chad, if Michigan loses to Auburn in their matchup, but Maryland takes down Florida, and again, Florida might be the best team. It's them and Duke right now, maybe 1 and 2 in the power rankings. So if Maryland takes down Florida, then they're still probably better than Michigan. But it doesn't matter. That's the point of the tournament, right? You get to go, we stole that banner, Chet. We stole that banner. That's what happens at tournament time. Michigan steals that banner. And I was seeing a stat as well, too. I forget how many consecutive tournament appearances Michigan has made the Sweet 16. I mean, Michigan themselves have not been in the tournament every year. There's a couple of Juwan Howard in their years in there recently that we didn't quite make it in, chat. Pause. But every time we've actually made the tournament, it's been very successful. That's why we were saying when the Big Ten run was happening and we were winning those tournament games, Michigan college basketball is just like the most joy we have watching any of these teams. At least in the tournament time in March. And that's when you tend to be tuning in as well, too. As much as, at least to watch some of the games, follow, as much as it can be emotionally, damaging to follow a box score, chat. To just log into the Bleacher Report and the ESPN every night. Oh, another loss. But then, like we said, this year with Dusty May, you log in, you're like, oh, man, we're putting some wins together, chat. This team's kind of good. We're moving up the rankings. We're staying in the top 25. And then you start getting the respect as well, too, to kind of stay in the top 25, even when you drop a couple of games. And I don't think we had any, disastrous losses there after a while. But when you do tend to maybe, have a down performance, they go, no, you're still in that range, top 25. Obviously, we'll adjust the ranking. But it's not like time to move them out totally. So both teams, shots are just going up right away, chat. This is going to be chaotic to start. We'll see who settles in. Is that Reese just taking the ball from the center from Florida? Yikes, chat. Maybe that wasn't Reese. Who was that? IT, get this screen a little bit bigger. What's going on, chat? But, and yeah, Alabama, BYU. This is crazy, chat. We've got a lot going on. Final Four. And we're back on a Thursday night as well, too. I'm just so invested in college basketball. I forget that we're not here on a normal time. We're popping out on an off-schedule day for March Madness. And I said on the last one, too, that we would be back Friday night. I don't even know the own schedule for this place, chat. Turns out IT's like, wait, you're on Thursday, right? Oh, we got games Thursday. That's totally fine. We've got a ton of great college football action and a ton of hot off the pause, but a ton of action heating up either way. But we got drama off the court, chat. Stephen A, LeBron, words are being exchanged. Tempers are flaring right now. Oh, offensive rebound dunk for Florida. Condon flying in. A big potential draft stock game for him as well, too. He's been in that first roundy territory. Was he on Tankathon's draft board over Clayton, chat? NBA guys are going to take Condon over Clayton? But they might, especially like we were saying with the way the modern NBA is moving a little bit bigger. But, it's just hard to watch college basketball sometimes. And especially when the success of not that it's also that guys, you go, oh, well, this guy, is he a better college basketball player? But in following that, the success of the team relies on them a little bit more as well, too, in these individual teams. Like, as impactful as Condon can be. And not to say that he's not impactful where he couldn't win them a game necessarily. I'm sure he could. But Clayton's obviously been the lead scorer, the lead, shot maker for this team, the clutch guy in the run here as they've, powered up to the 1 seed and made it to the Sweet 16, chat. And you'd love to see it continue, and you'd love to see the success carry over. You would love to see good basketball mean something, chat. And I guess it does mean something for the Florida fans. But for us fans of the non-teams, it's nice to actually look back and be like, oh, yeah, the guy that took down our team turned out he was like a 6-time first-team All-NBA player and just a great wing, small. I guess if you run into Cooper Flag this year, chat, we'll just have to see. Are we Cooper Flag 6 for? I guess that's just first teams. We're not saying only 6 All NBAs. If you set the over under, see, that's the crazy things that you would just start. We never even thought about that with Wembanyama. Like, should we set the over under first team All NBAs for Cooper Flag, chat? Again, they're on a little bit later, so we'll be tuned in. Arizona, it's gonna be a fun matchup. Caleb Love. Stephen A. with all of the hot takes and drama right now, one of the not hot takes that he had was that Caleb Love is going to need to play well tonight. And I guess we don't know Arizona well enough to say that. Like, if Caleb Love is not playing well, what are the pieces to make up for it? I'm assuming that one of their best players not playing well would not be good for the team in general, chap. But that'll be a fun one with his history at Duke as well, too. Maybe he'll be extra motivated. The North Carolina rivalry still in his DNA, chat. It's just once a rival, always a rival. It can never change. Arizona, are they in the ACC now? What conference is Arizona in, chat? Is this a conference matchup? SEC? Pac-12 still? Honestly, Big 12. Is Arizona's in the Big 12? I think that might be right. Chad, am I wrong? Am I actually going to have to Google what conference Arizona is in? This is unbelievable. I honestly do not remember what conference Arizona is in. But, yeah, I guess so. There's like a 2% chance that this is a conference rivalry. I mean, they could be switching conferences right now. You never know, Chad. They could be in the works. Realignment could be happening. With as fast as things go, I mean, the transfer portal now, you can just switch over in a day and jump teams and just immediately start playing again. So if you're a team now, you just be like, well, can we transfer portal over to the ACC instead? Can Arizona transfer portal into a bad conference one year and or for a couple years, dominate that conference and then head back to one of the bigger schools, get their stock back up? Be like, oh, now we can go back to the Big Ten or SEC and be like a powerhouse school, chat. We've got some dominance in here. But, yeah. Shout out to Spears as well, too. Grant Nelson. Hopefully this is not the last time that we get to tune into these guys. And Richie Saunders as well. 4 for 5 to start the game. The efficiency is there. He's carrying his team. You've got Troy off the bench, chat, with 7. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And his energy's been good on the glass as well, too. So you've had some good size and some good interior presence to go against. Like, maybe not like a center, you would think, but again, the energy's been there. So the presence has been there. You're working the inside. Bama's kind of a perimeter team, chat. 4 for 5, yeah, 21 threes. 5 twos right now. So kind of a perimeter team. Maybe an understatement, but still. Oh, making 26 threes. Holloway, no, chat. I mean, shout out Tate Frazier. Oh, chat, yikes. Shout out Tate Frazier on Simmons Pod saying that Nate Oates is going to be a NBA head coach at some point. Which I guess, I mean, if he's just running the Missoula offense, maybe people are gravitating toward it. But is that all he's saying? Is just, and I guess that is the NBA now, Jay. You just take threes every time. But still, I mean, are you an offensive mastermind, or are you just, throwing checkdowns every play? Are you Drew Brees? Is Nate Oates just the Drew Brees of college basketball? Just say, hey, I'm a brilliant coach. Go out there and shoot 3-pointers. And Denham as well, too. Is that how you say this guy's last name for BYU? BYU's got some guys. Richie Saunders and Denham. What was the line for this team, Chad? That live line. I guess Alabama's up by 10 right now. So as good as the other, some of these BYU guys are playing, they just can't stop this Bama offense. It is what it is. Can they make this? I mean, if you're in with double digits, you never know. Maybe Saunders and Denham. There are higher up the draft boards in a weird way. Denham is, in a first-round mix right now. So in a weird way, there's some, you wouldn't say more talent there, but there is talent in a very close competitive way. 12 3-point field goals made. Most by any team in the first half of the 2025 tournament. Okay, I thought we were witnessing some history, chat, but, good. We're witnessing a top-tier performance anyways, which is always nice for spending your time watching tournament games. And I think this Maryland-Florida game is going to be competitive as well, too. We definitely underestimated Maryland as a team to make a run. The size, the defense, and Queen as well, too. I don't know if we're going to have to start, I don't know what kind of, star player responsible. I mean, he's the clutch guy making the big shots, demanding the possessions at the end of the game last time, chat. So at the end of the day, he's got that star player mentality there. The shots, he will take a shot. Make sure I guess we're speaking off the court. I guess we can't speak to him off the court. I'm sure he's in for a good time, chat. But we're talking Jameson chat, not something else. But yeah, he's got the star player mentality anyways. In terms of the impact and the role, we still need to watch a little bit more here to feel out the total game to game. But again, the cohesive collective unit is there. And there's been a lot of talk this year as well, too. You always try to feel out the trends for wherever things are going by what happens in the tournament. But people are concerned with how the mid-major talents are going to do in some of these tournaments going forward, because the fact that these big schools, again, with the way the transfer rules are, these bigger schools can just, in the offseason, if somebody on a losing small school tournament team or whatever, just one of these tournament teams that gets competitive, like their guys are going to get transferred out. They're going to get the offers from the bigger school. There's going to be maybe more enticing NIL packages. And, how are these mid-major schools going to be able to maintain the talent year to year to try to compete with these top teams, chat? There's been, because I think if you look at the bracket this year, there's been, one double-digit seed in the Sweet 16. That is Arkansas, who is on deck tonight. And again, literally a 10 seed, so not like the most crazy year in terms of upsets and in terms of major seeds, mid seeds advancing farther into the tournament. But do we just need to go back like 2 or 3 seasons, people? And I know that, make no mistake, college basketball's changed a lot in 2 or 3 seasons. So again, it is what is going forward. But there was a couple tournaments ago where the Final Four was a 5 seed, a 9 seed, a 4 seed, and like another 9 seed. And people were wondering if college basketball was going to be broke. Like, how do we get the blue bloods fixed, chat, so people can watch college basketball again? And it's like, oh, wait a second. I mean, this is something that Sam always says. He's like, as much as you love watching the tournament teams get the upset, when you get later into the tournament, and like when you're watching these games, you know what you want to watch? You want to watch good teams. You want to watch good basketball. So not that, a 13 seed and a 9 seed couldn't give you a good Elite 8 matchup potentially. I don't know if the math works out for those 2 seeds to match up in the Elite 8. But not that these mid-major schools can't play competitive basketball. But at the end of the day, you want to see your star players. You want to see the star teams. And, of course, for the most part, the star players are usually on the bigger schools anyways. And, again, this year, some of them have transferred up. Broom's a good example of that. But even Broom's been at Auburn for a couple of years as well, too. So it's not like, this is his first year in Auburn's just put the pieces together. Teams had to assemble. Teams had to make a little bit of a run. He's obviously had some extended eligibility as well, too. But, again, I think he's only in his 5th year, so not, like, too crazy extensive. But if you look back at, let's just go back and look at that tournament as well, too. And the reason that, we remember that tournament so well, too, chat, is because Dusty May was the coach of Florida Atlantic that year. And Florida Atlantic was one of those smaller mid-major schools that was just hanging around and making a tournament run that year. So I think this was 22-23. Yeah, UConn, Florida Atlantic, Miami, and San Diego State, chat. Not necessarily the most memorable Final Four. A 9, a 5, a 5, and a 4. So we had 3 5 and below seeds in the Final Four, and I don't know if the ratings were like way worse than they are this year. I'm sure the ratings are going to be up a little bit with some of the high-level teams, but look at what we're getting right now, chat. Pause. We got BYU in still a pretty close game, an 8-point game, a high-level, high-scoring game that's fun to watch. We've got what is looking like it's going to be a back-and-forth competitive matchup between Maryland and Florida. And Arizona Duke, if Arizona Duke is not a good game, let's be honest, it's because Duke is probably going to play really, really well and dominate Arizona and, win the game by a big margin that way. Or they're going to play really, really bad and Arizona's going to, obviously play well. And this is our elite breakdown of what the potential outcomes of that game, chat. But again, it's kind of hinged on, it's just like a real tester game for Duke in like a real competitive way and a team that's a really good matchup. And in the 10 seed that we do have, you get Coach Calipari, who, say what you want about him as a college coach. He is still one of the A-plus guys and proving again that he could still capable of putting together a program of making a tournament run, chat. And tomorrow, Michigan, Auburn. We can just keep going through the games. There's high-level players. There's stars everywhere, and it's gonna be fun to watch. And I know the Sweet 16 is even a different, this year was just a year where the tournament as well, too. Like, we didn't have a lot of those round 1 matchups, teams necessarily getting bounced in round 2. McNeese State upset Clemson in round 1, which is a pretty exciting, upset matchup. That was a 5 versus a 12 seed. UC Davis gave Michigan a pretty good run. And we see Michigan, I mean, if they make a run to the Elite Eight, it's like, whew, that's like a pretty close call there in game 1. I mean, yeah, you see everybody on this side of the bracket cleared. Maybe a 9 seed, yeah. 9 seed Baylor over 8 seed Mississippi State. So no surprise there. McNeese State as the double digit. I'm not going to lie, this is pretty egregious, people. This is, but I don't think this is a let's start panicking as well. I mean, you got New Mexico. Lipscomb got beat pretty good. Pause. Texas A&M versus EA. I mean, I feel like there was still a lot of pretty close games. Louisville Creighton was an 8-9. That wasn't even, a very close game. Yeah, Colorado State over Memphis. I know that's not the most shocking upset either. Drake over Missouri is good. So there's some fun in this bracket, chat. See, anything is possible. Anything is possible. I think, are we in our Rosillo bag right now? Do we need to see this for a couple more years before we make a trend? But I mean, it's true, chat, because again, you go back 2 tournaments and there was chaos everywhere. And we were thinking college basketball was broke in a complete different way. And again, let's go back another big portion. The reason we bring up Dusty May, another big reason why. And as I was thinking about this too, in the reaction to that in Florida, they're starting to pull away, chat. So see, I guess it doesn't even matter. We're not going to get good games anyways. But 19-8 with 11 and a half minutes left in the first half. But as we were, thinking about the reaction to this as well too, Florida Atlantic and these other schools, it's not just, again, the players that are going to get poached as well. It's going to be the coaches. And you got, an 8 seed UNC. So, we're in the wrong year, chat. I was going to say, I don't remember them being in that Final Four that we had just looked at. Because it was smaller. UNC, I guess UConn's one of those 8 seeds that you're not, shocked if they make a run in the tournament necessarily. And, they have Hurley, again, established in the next year and two who he was, a top-end college basketball coach. So you've got, young top coaching talent here at UConn. You've got Dusty May, who's on the rise at Florida Atlantic as another just super young coach. Who is the San Diego State coach this year, Chad? Has this guy moved up? Brian Dutcher? Is he anywhere else now? Still at San Diego State. So who knows? Maybe he's on the rise. Maybe he's on the move. Made the tournament this year. But, of course, not a memorable run, chat. But who was the other team in the mix here? Miami. Was this still Larinaga? One last run. Another legend, chat. Another legend making a run. So, again, maybe not even that surprising when you look at the teams that make it. But again, some of that coaching talent has moved around. Like Dusty May has moved around. Some of the coaching talent has moved. So I think it was just kind of a cycle year where we had high-level recruits again in college basketball. Like, Cooper Flagg's dominant for Duke. And we've got some new coaching talent. We've got some, just across the board, not even just Michigan. Like again, not just Cooper Flagg again, but John Shire's established himself at Duke. Like there's new faces emerging after some of the changing of the guard here with some of the older guys still sticking around. And the mid-majors, I think, are going to be fine going forward. There's going to, you look at the Drake guy, like we were just saying, there's still, who's this Drake guy, Chad? Not the rapper, the coach for the Bulldogs basketball team now at Iowa. But, it's just, this year I think was a tough year for the matchups, and I think everybody going in kind of knew that as well too. And I think the more shocking thing about the bracket this year than maybe the and I guess it is a lot of the favorites winning, but it's the fact that everybody maybe is predicting a lot of the stuff to be right. And again, with how many people picked Duke to win the national championship, 60% of America picked Duke to win the national championship. There's just bound to be some major disappointment in the bracket in a big bracket busting type of way at some point. And again, as we get to the later rounds here, some of these Final Four teams and some of these brackets are going to start getting eliminated and bounced out as inevitably some of these top teams start losing. But again, they're not going to necessarily be the bracket busters style pause and sort of the way chat, but Sort of the way that we assume. Like maybe Ole Miss making a Final Four, like that'd be kind of, or Elite Eight anyways, be kind of a sneaky team. But this side of the bracket was kind of this quadrant of the quadrant, this mini section of the bracket here was kind of a weird one to go through, and you can kind of look at all these teams and go, hey, there could be anybody that could kind of emerge out of this group. And I know, again, a lot of people maybe have Michigan State just as a byproduct to Izzo and what's going on there, chat. But again, you got Florida, like with what Golden's been able to do with, and I know maybe it's not the coaches, it's, again, NIL is the thing to point to. Like, is it Sharon Moore that got Bryce Underwood, or is it the NIL that was pretty documented that got Underwood at Michigan? It's like, well, again, we still see coaches with NIL not be able to perform. So the coach, the pieces still mean something, chat. And I get the NIL is going to be obviously difficult to keep for some of these schools in the longer term. But, there's also going to be the school that 4 years just maybe didn't make the tournament, 3 years maybe went to the NIT with everybody kind of in their third year, and then their fourth year is making the tournament run, and now all of a sudden everybody's surprised. Like, I don't know, there's just going to be different versions of Cinderellas, and will we find there's going to be another tournament in a couple years where it's going to be 4 12 seeds in the Final Four? Or we're going to be asking the same questions, chat. We're going to be looking for the next young coach. Florida, 20-9. It's 11-0 scoring run in the last 3 minutes. Yikes. Alabama as well, too, chat. About to go to halftime, up 12. So the top teams again, just the top heaviness, chat. Hey, yo! But the top heaviness of the league, where these top teams are now stepping out on the court and dominating. Florida. We expected Florida to be one of the better teams in the tournament. They're in this run. They are, outside of UConn, who is the defending national champions, pretty much taking care of business. Same with Duke, as we were all watching, again, like we were saying, taking care of business in the first 2 games. Alabama now developing a comfortable lead against a matchup where maybe you need a defensive team to slow it down. Like if you're going to play Alabama's style, again, as good as they are, who's going to be better at them at their style? But still a team that you think could make it competitive and make it close, and Alabama's still with a comfortable lead. Their experience, their guys are definitely proving out to be the better bunch here, Chad. So great stuff. We're probably going to see the same from Duke as well, too. I was looking at the Duke line and like, they're definitely respecting Duke a little bit, but it's totally merited. And with the way that we've seen these teams go, hopefully this doesn't mean tough stuff, Chad. Pause for Michigan Auburn tomorrow. Yikes, tune in tomorrow night. That's going to be a real nail biter. That's going to be a tough one to watch. Hopefully it's not another just first half and go. And Maryland, with a couple buckets here, back down 7. We don't want to start writing them off yet, I guess. With 9 minutes left. There's another 3. Hey, yo, chat, down 4. So Maryland storms right back. Shuts us up. BYU down 10. I guess, again, this is why you watch the games, chat. This is why you watch the games. You can't just write these teams off right away. But college is a little different. Sometimes a 10, 15-point lead in college is not the same in the NBA, where, the shot-making level, obviously. The time of possession. There's just so many factors, chat, that make it a different game. Speaking of LeBron and Stephen A., one of the things he said in the LeBron-versation with Pat McAfee was that he just doesn't really watch college basketball because it's a different game. And, he's not wrong, chat. He's not wrong. I think the NBA is the most different version of basketball, if we're being honest, compared to anything that's played. In all fairness to, I guess everybody else, and to them, I don't know who in all fairness to, Jeff. In regards to what it is, anyways, it's still like the most highest level athletes, the 1% of the 1%, the best shot makers, the most skilled players. So it's going to be different just because of that. But again, the style to which they're playing is different as well, too. Like, basically AAU through pickup basketball through college D1 basketball is kind of very similar stylistically. I don't know what kind of style, I guess. Maybe it depends regionally where you play your pickup back to. I guess DM us, chat. Let us know what you think the pickup game scene in your town, in your city, in your state, in your country, chat. Any of the international listeners, maybe let us know like what the pickup basketball is. It more like an NBA feel, college? I guess, if you happen to have actually played at any level. That would help with a real comparison as well too. But just from a watching standpoint, can you picture yourself be like, hey, feels like I'm playing in a college basketball game? Do you ever feel like you're playing in an NBA game basically when you're at the park, chat? Let us know. I mean, there's definitely moments where maybe you catch a couple of makes in a row. You're like, I don't know, chat. If I really had grind, if the grind had been there, then you're like, go right back down, hit the side of the backboard. Next time you're like, oh yeah, this is. And then you remember you're at like a high school 3-point line in a lot of these parks. It's like a mid-range jump shot for most of these players. It is not, the most difficult thing in the world to try to take down and make if you're any of these guys. So maybe it'll be like an arm's length kind of night, chat. Is that a crazy, hey, yo? Is that a crazy pause? But just teams hanging around, again, chat. But teams just close enough to be interesting and to make it seem like we should be entertained. Just the refs doing just enough of their job to be like, hey, they gave us a directive. We can't have people turning the TVs off. We need to be making calls. Keep it close. Keep it in the range. But Arkansas, Texas Tech, I mean, Coach Calipari. So we could have Calipari, Nate Oates, Todd Golden in the mix, and John Shire from at least, these two, the West and the East regions of the bracket. And then Dusty May. I mean, Calipari definitely, a reestablishing year for him, chat. And, the Kentucky thing, he did win the title. I mean, he had teams that had great success, and if you probably do a retrospective of the tournament, like any coach, he's probably going to have his down moments, but he probably has his handful of moments as well, too. You were like, oh, yeah, you know what? A loss there is probably, it's the better team won that day. Talented players, things happen. I mean, did Luke May hit that jumper against UCLA, or did he I think he made that against Kentucky. Yeah, because didn't Monk make another clutch shot right before that? And that was a rematch of that game earlier in the regular season where Monk had scored like 40-some points in the regular season, chat. So, there are moments where you go, okay, is that like on Calipari? I guess we'd have to go back and look at, did he botch some moments late in that game? Probably somehow. Who knows, chat? But from a legacy standpoint, I don't know, sometimes maybe he needed another program to go to build up and to just continue to prove that, hey, I can be that guy that is responsible for building these programs. Because, again, there's something about the Kentucky brand as well, too. As much as it was Calipari, like, he definitely turned, I guess we'd have to look, chat. Let's see how much he did actually turn that program around when he first got there. But, he turned that program back into a powerhouse anyways, with the leading into the one and done and the sort of NBA pipeline mentality that he had brought into that team in that school. But again, the Kentucky brand up until that point, just in college basketball history, is just so strong that, I mean, Billy Gillispie, 22-14. So did he just retire? Or was there 2 years? I mean, I guess it wasn't going great. Lost in the regional final, and was there maybe something that happened? I don't even know, Chad. What happened to the Billy Gillispie run? I mean, Tubby Smith, of course, won the tournament in his first year as the head coach at Kentucky with Pitino. A Pitino Tubby Smith sandwich, chat, of national titles. Pitino, I mean, lost the tournament 3 national finals in a row. Then Pitino goes to the Celtics. Tubby Smith takes Pitino's team. I mean, Pitino, chat. Pitino, you forget, 3 national title teams in a row is crazy. Who is even on these Kentucky teams? That's a yikes. Tony Dell, Antoine Walker, Derek Anderson, Mark Pope, Ron Mercer. Mark Pope back as the coach now, Chad. A full circle moment. Ron Mercer, Derek Anderson, Antoine Walker, Tony Delk, Chad. I mean, it's an NBA lineup. Ron Mercer was in college in 96. Was he a senior this year? That had to have been his last year. There's no way Ron Mercer was on all these teams. Or am I getting him mixed up with Ron Harper, chat? I may be getting it mixed up with Ron Harper. I think I am. Yeah, I think Ron Mercer might have been, because that would make sense. Him as, and then he probably moves into a starting role as well too. It's probably Ron Mercer as a freshman on that team. The Arizona team they took down in the national title the next season, the Miles Simons, Mike Bibby team. And yeah, Mercer in the starting lineup next to Jamal McGlure and Nazir Muhammad off the bench. Jared Pickett, Cameron Mills, Allen Edward, Wade Taylor, 35-5. The Patino Ron Mercer combo. Doesn't Patino then like draft Mercer on the Celtics? It's all starting to just be awakened. The info is starting to be awakened in the subconscious. The librarian is slowly bringing the information back over to the desk chat. And we're remembering what happened with the 90s run there. No Mercer the next year. Jeff Shepard, Nazir Muhammad, Allen Edwards, Wade Taylor, Scott Padgett. This team was able to win the national title. Had to have been a defensive menace, chat. Held this team to 69 points. Hey, yo. In the national. Andre Miller's Utah team. Andre Miller, Michael Dolacek, Drew Hansen, Alec Jensen, chat. Drew Hansen with a 1 for 6. Also, probably not helping the cause either. But Scott Padgett. Unless you're a Kentucky fan, do you guys remember the Scott Padgett Kentucky runs? It's not something that necessarily gets brought up a lot in college basketball history. But yeah, shout out Patino. So yeah, you know, it's one of those things for Kentucky standards not being held, you know, who knows, probably marred by scandal and Billy Gillespie. Shout out, chat. But Calipari, of course, brought it back in that limelight. But look at that. They only made the Final Four one time after they made the final. So they made the Final Four, what, 3 out of 4 years there when he kind of first gets there, builds the team up for a couple seasons, wins the national title with Anthony Davis, chat, and then just straight up misses the tournament next year at 21-12, and then makes the national title, loses. Who did they lose to, chat? Did they lose to like Kansas this year? Oh, UConn. That's right. This is the James Young Randall team, and they lost to UConn 60-58, and then lose in the Final Four the next year in 14-15, and this would have been what, the Carl Towns Wisconsin team? Yeah, chat. The Booker, Towns, Aaron Harrison, Andrew Harrison as sophomores. You forget back-to-back Final Fours for the Harrison twins, chat. As much as you hate them for the clutch shots they may have made against your team, you got to respect the talented players that they were. And then didn't make a Final Four again. So made, I guess, 4 Final Fours in 5 years. We got to give him credit, chat. Made the Final Four in 2010 as well, too. Is Michael Kidd-Gilchrist still on this team? Terrence Jones, Brandon Knight, Dorian Lamb, Darius Miller, DeAndre Liggins, Josh Harrelson. DeAndre Liggins only putting up 8 points a game on this team. Brandon Knight leading the way in scoring. Dorian Lamb. Brandon Knight, another guy you just, like, Brandon Knight was the best guy on a title team. You don't think about it, chat. But it almost happened. He took this team with, of course, Terrence Jones and Dorian Lamb and Darius Miller all the way to the national title game. But number 4 recruit, I mean, you know, it's why he was a high draft pick, talented guy, of course. It all changed once Kyrie kind of crossed him up, unfortunately, in that Rising Stars game. But just another run to continue to solidify that's like, you know what? Actually, maybe Calipari kind of does have something to do with it. And again, with the amount of basketball talent you're getting there at Kentucky and with some of those results, it does become a real like, hey, who are we looking at now? Are we looking at the basketball players? Because they're changing every year. You know, that's a new roster, a lot of freshmen, a lot of young guys. So, again, maybe you can't look at the rosters year to year and go, okay, there are moments where they're making mistakes. But then it becomes a big Calipari thing, and then it seems like he's underachieving year to year. So to sort of just reset at Arkansas, build back a good, just being in the Sweet 16, and of course, you know, 10 seed again, a little bit of a Cinderella run as well too, taking down St. John's in the process, the number 2 seed in the their quadrant of the bracket, top 8 team in the tournament. So there's definitely, it's all definitely compared to expectations, but just the fact that being back in the Sweet 16 is like a nice public perception boost that you're getting is definitely something that he needed from moving over to Kentucky. And maybe part of the reason that he was thinking about it as well, too, Chad. I don't know if Legacy Reset was worked in there at all, but it's definitely been good for him. And again, he needed it more so than some of these other coaches. Like, Izzo hasn't needed a Legacy Reset in Michigan State, even if he necessarily hasn't had the year-to-year overall success, like in a more significant way that Calipari has the last handful of years. But again, the expectations of the team, Calipari's had some 5-star guys, some high-level NBA draft picks, and guys that go on. And the other thing is too, like, and it's a credit to Calipari, like he has guys that go on to be impactful NBA players. So maybe we do have to start looking at Arkansas in a real way that, for the draft this year, chat. And especially going forward, Calipari maybe having a more hand, and I don't know. Oh, yo, chat, pause. But, whoa. And I don't know how much of a GM he is for this school. If, how involved in all of the roster acquisition stuff he is. But you assume obviously he is involved, and, just going forward when he's the guys that he brings in and sort of selects to have in that program, and who knows, not saying he's necessarily going to always get his first options, but the guys that he does bring in, it's like, oh, this like the new Kentucky now, in a way. Maybe Kentucky is, of course, still Kentucky and still able to be good and still able to be dominant and still able to have NBA players and all the stuff, chat. But maybe Calipari does have an eye for this type of thing. Hey, yo. Yo. But yeah, LeBaron Philon, 25th on the Tankathon rating. Oh, I guess that was Alabama. Where's our Arkansas? Here we go. Boogie Flan at 31. JT Toppin at 32. A sophomore and a freshman, so both young guys. JT Toppin at 24 and 12 and a half this year, chat. The 6'9" power forward. I'm assuming Obi Toppin relations are going to be worked in there. Probably safe to assume with the name, chat, but you never know. Shout out. He's on man. And Trevon Brazil. This is Brazil. 12 and 10 this year almost as a 6'10" power forward. 2 blocks a game, 1.3 steals. But there's 3 guys then in the top 75 for Arkansas. Of course, Texas Tech had a couple of guys. Oh, Toppin's Texas Tech, chat. Boogie Flynn. Oh, Art, I do Thero, chat. I can't even read. So Toppin will be going up against all these guys in this matchup. We'll have a battle of the end of the first round draft picks. It'll be exciting times. Noah Clifford from Colorado State still managing to have a higher draft selection spot than those guys. Yaxel Lendenborg, power forward out of Alabama Burlington? Has UAB even had basketball players drafted like that? Imagine, big board 35th. So 36 in the mock puts him in the second round right now. I mean, could he be the first UAB player drafted in the first round? Yaxel Lendenborg from Pennsauken, New Jersey. Yaxel Lendenborg. Shout out, chat. The senior. Philly. Maury, he needs some win now, guys. He says, I need a win right now. My job is on the line. Embiid is not who we thought he was, and we need to get some extra guys in here. So maybe Maury starts looking at Alabama Burlington. Hopefully he's doing that much scouting, chat. And yeah, Condon from Florida at 40. We also get Darian Williams from Texas Tech as well, too. 6'6" junior wing. Oh! But hey, Clayton up to 57? Is he moving up, or am I just a little more immune to him being lower on the list? I mean, 57 is still like... I mean, Bronny was the 55th pick in the draft, Chad. Is Bronny better than Walt? Hey, yo! We're going to have LeBron beefing with our pod now, Chad. It is what it is. But make no mistake, LeBron. If LeBron calls in, I'm no Stephen A. I'm probably going to cave right away, Chad. It's just what it is. We can be honest. I can be honest, admit my shortcomings, and admit how I think I can handle myself in a certain situation. But, hey, yo. But if LeBron was like, if LeBron approached me courtside and was like, hey, you got to stop talking about my kid, I'd be like, I don't know what I was saying, LeBron, but sure. Okay, it is what it is. You heard the man. He said no. So I guess that's why Stephen A is the best in the business, because he holds guys accountable and he'll stand by what he says, Jet. I mean, LeBron's the best in his business as well, too, because, you know, his passion and energy has been, hey, yo, chat, pause, but put into everything he does professionally. Gotta say it professionally, chat, but I mean, obviously, two very motivated, very competitive individuals. Two very, you know, savvy individuals. Knowing kind of how to maybe generate some stuff as well, too, chat. So, yeah, but either way, Walter Clayton at 57. Maybe that just means it's a really stacked draft. But then again, Proctor, like we've been saying, is at 53 as well, too. So, Tankathon needs to work on their 50s. So, we need to get this update. Whoa! Excuse me. 11 days ago. I don't even know if he's updated it since the start of the tournament, to be honest. How many days have we actually been going now? Has he updated the first 4? He's like, I've seen enough. These rankings are final after the first 4 matchups have been set. So maybe he'll definitely bump some guys up after the tournament. I'm sure the guys that make the later runs will start moving into first round conversation territory, to be honest. But regardless, as we stand right now, 11 days 11 days left. Ooh, hey, yo, chat, whatever. But 11 days unupdated. That's where we stand with some of the current player rankings. So, yeah, Maryland has clawed their way back after that mini run. Tied it up. Down 3 with 3 minutes left on the HBO stream. I don't remember what streaming service we were on there for a second, chat. So many streaming services, it's all a blur. You don't know which ones to keep up with. And I guess no multi-view tonight either. I feel like we just go a couple screens, but maybe we go throw on the multi-view because there is still some NBA on as well too. So, you know, chat, we got to absorb just as much basketball as possible. It is what it is. If there's games from other leagues, again, different styles of basketball. If somehow we could get a big 3 matchup in here as well too, some unrivaled, some March Madness and some NBA, just try to check all the boxes. I think it would be the perfect basketball evening, chat. But the potential turnover into a transition bucket for the lead for Maryland is all waved off. It's not good. 18 combined turnovers, most in a first half this season. So we saw Alabama hit the most 3-pointers in a first half. And in this game, turns out it's paused, but the sloppiest first half of basketball in the tournament. The highest turnover first half. Maybe the best defensive turnover, or the best defensive half anyways. I know, again, sloppy play. Everybody kind of, hey, yo, but everybody kind of leads towards that when you hear turnovers. But sometimes it's just good defense as well, too. Intensity, again, the defense for Maryland is definitely there. And the ability for them to force turnovers with some of the chaotic stuff, chat, is definitely there as well, too. So it's no surprise that number would be a little bit higher. And like we talked about, the possessions may slow down a little bit for some of the scoring stuff. If you could have parlayed Maryland to win with the under, whoa, what a zag, chat. What a zag. Hopefully one of you guys actually ended up doing that out there. Condon on the bike right now. Hopefully it's not too serious if you're a Florida fan. And he'll be able to return. But bigger stage for Clayton, I guess. 3 for 8 from the field. Wouldn't necessarily say it's like an elite day, but, you know, he'll tie it up and potentially take the lead here if he makes this next one. So, I guess, does it matter? But just projecting out for the second half, chat. It's getting sketchy. It's getting into the... Where is the consistent Walter? And not really, I guess, with 2 minutes left in the first half. But it's just, it's the planting of the seeds of it in the back of your mind anyways. For a little bit later in the game. These seeds are like a weed, chat. Of course, it's a negative thought, so it's a weed. But it grows, it grows quickly. It spreads within less than a couple of, I guess there's no quarters in college basketball. But Spreads in a couple of less than hypothetical quarters. For whatever reason, I guess guys still do the 20-minute halves for college basketball, chat. So we got Florida up by 1. I guess both teams in the bonus with 2 minutes left as well, too. Queen with 2 for 7 from the field. So the shot making just across the board slowed down. It's foul line for the last part of the first half here. And the physicality, I was going to say the physicality of Maryland's been the thing that's kind of brought him back a little bit. But Florida almost barreling into the rim and getting something to go. Hey, yo, chat. Hey, yo. Oh, and 1. No. No and 1 for our guy Gillespie, unfortunately. But another chance to take the lead. So, again, it's the fouls. It's the slow pace of game. Julian Reese pulling the chair out from under his defender. Throwing off the balance, leading to the missed field goal. So Gillespie is 4 for 8. Gillespie is a carrier right now. He's a super spreader, chat. Don't give the man a virus because he's carrying, he's spreading. Pause. Hey, yo. But he's keeping him in this game. Up 1, really. So I was going to say, do we go 2 for 1? We start thinking 2 for 1 with a minute 20, but shot clock's not quite that. I guess it's getting close. It's getting close because you got to think that they might run the clock down quite a bit as well, too. So Florida responds with a 3 that's pretty sneaky impressive, pretty sneaky big shot because they've been exchanging field goals, exchanging ones and twos, so it's just been going back and forth, up 1. Now there's some real established stuff going on here, chat. Some established consistency. Finally, Florida swooping into the rim, up 4. The end of the first half, turning it on. I mean, that's what they do at the end of halves, people. When they want to sort of swarm a little bit, they can really swarm. They can really lock down. Oh! The jumper going baseline by the Maryland. But when they want to ramp up and they want to go and get intense in the last part of games, I mean, you see the defense also really locks in a special way as well, too, chat. Where, I mean, that was that complete team that was making them that second best team in a lot of people's tournament minds. So 3 more turnovers in the first half, and I guess it could still be tied here. If they make the shot, they can take the lead. Oh! It could have been 41-40, but Florida survives the first half, chat. Halftime for Florida versus Maryland. So let's take a quick break, chat. These games, I mean, the second halves are going to be the best part. They're still close enough. Alabama, BYU, Rich Saunders, Denham. I have a feeling he's going to be making the second half real interesting, and you're going to want to stay tuned. Okay, chat, we're back. BYU is back in action for the second half, and the white guys are already fouling out. They have to make some subs. People are getting in foul trouble, but they're down 8 right now. So maybe they make it interesting and continue to compete with Bama here. But while we're in halftime for Florida, Maryland, while this game is still, chat, working its way into the second half, let's discuss the LeBron conversation, chat. It's unbelievable. The man's name is just a perfect title for anything. You can somehow work it into anything. The LeBron conversation. He goes on Pat McAfee. I don't know. Is he trying to get Pat McAfee to be the coach of the GM of the Lakers, chat? Because obviously he doesn't do a ton of media. I guess he did do the, what's it called, chat? Gridiron Heights, not Gridiron Heights. What's it called? Full Heights, New Heights. Is it New Heights? Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce, the New Heights? Gridiron Heights. Jesus Christ, chat. He did the Kelce's pod with, I believe he did that within this calendar year. But he did McAfee before he did Club Shay Shay, chat. That's the crazier thing. That was the first interesting part about it, was going on McAfee's show. And I guess through all of the Stephen A. addressing of this. I don't know if he addressed this part of it. He definitely was giving back his props for landing the LeBron conversation. But again, if LeBron just wants to go on a pod, he wants to go on a show, like, I guess platform for platform is McAfee's, like, does McAfee at the peak TV numbers, is he doing better ratings than, I guess, what Shannon Sharpe would do for an episode with LeBron? But Shannon Sharpe and LeBron, like, that would be ratings, be ratings. The ceiling is the roof for that type of episode, chat. It would, the millions, who knows? Obviously, nothing's gonna be doing Cat Williams numbers anytime soon, but it definitely would be another pretty. I think LeBron on Club Shay Shay's 10 mil, chat. There's no way that's not 10 mil. I think it could even LeBron could be 15 or 20, to be honest. 20 would be crazy, but I would not be surprised at all. But again, this has no disrespect to McAfee to be like, it's not a platform if LeBron wants to choose a platform to go on. Like, again, former athlete, like Shannon is a former athlete as well too. And Shannon, again, like Shannon is clearly LeBron is the GOAT guy in the media. McAfee was talking he was talking more favorably to LeBron's generation, to some of the older generations. I don't know if he was necessarily outright saying that he would say LeBron is the GOAT over Michael Jordan. If he would have outright said it, he would have outright said it, Chad. So he kind of, again, maybe alluded to some of the era stuff, but never did. So maybe McAfee is still, like, also kind of a Jordan guy as well too, Chad. But maybe he's a LeBron guy. Either way, he's not as vocal as Shannon is, and not as premier of a LeBron guy in the media as Shannon Sharpe is, obviously. So again, if he wants to just have a conversation on a pod, and if he wants to just promote, I guess he was promoting his own Mind the Game pod as well too. So maybe there is a Shannon Sharpe episode dropping at some point or in the future that will be scheduled if he wants to continue to do the tour, which just makes it interesting. I'm fascinated with the Shannon Sharpe angle of this, to be honest, mostly because you've got the Shannon Sharpe first take sort of aspect of it, obviously, with his relationship with Stephen A. And then again with his relationship to LeBron, being LeBron is like his favorite player and his greatest player of all time. So I'm assuming if there is a media tour, and if there is multiple podcast appearances that are going to be happening, again, it's not that he like just did the Kelsey's one and is now doing McAfee's and his lineup to another one. Like, he was just popping on McAfee. But again, he's popping on McAfee for a specific reason. One, to promote the pod. Two, because the man has to address Stephen A. And the man's got some things to say. But I hope Shannon does get the interview at some point. Obviously, he deserves it. Just for the sake of having it over Skip Bayless anyways. Be like, hey, now I've got the LeBron interview as well too. A crazy turn of events, chat. But yeah, he's obviously choosing a show on the network as well too to go after Stephen A. And I almost wonder if, he's trying to ascend McAfee a little bit as well too. And again, sticking it to Stephen A, I'd be like, I'm going to go on an ESPN platform and it's not going to be First Take, which would feel like, especially for maybe an NBA. But again, McAfee being the football guy, and a former athlete to former athlete's a different thing as well too. It's kind of cross sports, more so than sports to media guy, even if the media guy is an NBA guy. But Stephen A and First Take is still kind of the NBA show premiere, mainstream show in that kind of way. And McAfee, obviously, with the football stuff, Aaron Rodgers in the famous reoccurring segments that they were doing for a while there, he kind of leads that angle. But because this, speaking of the Cat Williams thing, like, this is what Cat Williams was doing with Shannon Sharpe, which I think he was, and again, like, who knows what Cat Williams is saying, of course, but of course, we all know what he's saying, but is the timeline of what he's thinking always totally accurate with, how he's portraying it? Chat, we can never know, but he was saying that he was saying that he was, he knew that he was going to present the certain material on an episode, so I guess you can never expect how, viral anything like that is going to be. It's probably going to pick up some steam. You're saying some pretty explosive things, but maybe to the level that it did. You could just never project, but he did know that obviously it was going to be some sort of wave caused by it, and he wanted to be on Shannon Sharpe's show, and he wanted Shannon Sharpe to get the boost from, and I guess he, of course, like, not saying that Cat Williams like taking credit for Shannon Sharpe's rise in popularity. Shannon Sharpe also has to conduct a excellent interview as well too, and set this and give Cat Williams the perfect platform and the perfect opportunity to have the statements and to have the rants and the stuff that way he does. Like Shannon also has to have a great performance as well too. We know Shannon Sharp is capable of great performances, chat. We know that he's leaked a couple of great performances as well in the past, or has he leaked great ones? Maybe there's another great leak in the future. But again, like I think LeBron was in some ways maybe trying to give McAfee that extra boost as well too, and like, hey, can I one stick it to Stephen A. and then also solidify McAfee as like the main ESPN guy? Where again now he's crossing over into the basketball thing because he's also McAfee also gets like the commits and stuff that happen on his show, and again he's had a lot of football stuff, but there was another Arizona commit that maybe today within the last couple of days committed to that school on his show. So now to like be crossing over, I don't know how many basketball recruits have exactly recruited on his show, but now to have the crossover in that big interview way, in that big mainstay way, it's just like a real standing type thing in the hierarchy of these shows. So I definitely think that was in play a little bit with it too. And it's also funny that he started to talk a little bit as well too, like once Bronny starts playing well. Like make no mistake, Stephen A, the Bronny Stephen A dialogue, I mean the Bronny everybody dialogue was definitely mostly around the draft and around the early parts of the league when he was initially like, when are we going to see Bronny play in a game? Like, what's that initially going to seem like? And then once it kind of settled in where it's like, okay, we see what the trajectory is here for him to get on an NBA court and for him to get minutes and for him to get that second contract. Like we see obviously the path that needs to be taken. I mean, and there's always going to be it's always going to be a topic of conversation, but the way it was at the forefront of the conversation did seem to shift a little bit. But Bronny just dropped 40 points in a G League game and then had a pretty good performance off the bench in a garbage time loss as well too. And I don't, not saying that's disrespect Bronny, just to provide context. Performance, like, had a pretty good performance as well too in a game against Milwaukee. And now LeBron's like, hey, I got to go out on the tour and get in Stephen A's face, pause, and start defending my boy. Which again, you don't want to ever blame LeBron for, the man's. People are just going to get passionate about their kids, chat. It's just what it is. The man's going to stick up for his kids. Even if he is in the league, and even if he's literally a teammate of his son, he's still probably going to prioritize his duty as a dad to the kids. But with the way that he was starting now to do the tour, and the way that just the way that he's on the interview chat on the McAfee show, I mean, it was just crazy. It was crazy to watch the Stephen A response as well too. And Stephen A, I mean, LeBron was definitely like, and I mean, Stephen A is like, oh, LeBron's a sneaky guy. I mean, LeBron was definitely trying to be like presented as and not to say that he wasn't, maintained, and not to say that Stephen A wasn't professional either. Like, obviously LeBron was still like, had a collectiveness about him when he was making his points. And Stephen A is just he's an eccentric in a good way character like that on TV that is going to get into making his points and into defending and debating his topics. So neither of them were really out of character too much when they were making their points. But I mean, Stephen A was definitely like really ramping up the response. And obviously he is, if we're talking from a perception, if we're talking from a public perception standpoint, if we're talking from a celebrity standpoint, and however you want to phrase it, like, LeBron is definitely obviously the most famous person in this situation, the more famous person in this situation. So Stephen A is going to maybe use a little, use the juice. This is crazy, chat. But, use whatever sort of momentum you can get from this type of event. He's going to be more tuned in riding that momentum out than LeBron is. Because, again, maybe it's not that he needs the momentum, but the momentum is just going to be more beneficial to him, chat. But I mean, he was really, again, saying like actual personal things about LeBron for, again, I don't want to say the first time because I would have to go back and look at the timeline of everything he was saying. And, you start talking about his abilities as a dad too. Like, no, you're crossing into some personal territory. But again, he was talking about still his abilities as a NBA father, as well too, and kind of a sports father. I mean, he would say the same things to LeVar Ball, honestly. Like, if we're being honest, and not to say that LeBron is LeVar Ball, but when LeVar was going crazy talking about his kids and making the crazy like, hey, Lonzo is a better 3-point shooter than Steph Curry. Lonzo is the best player. I mean, LeVar was on First Take saying that not only, he was obviously gonna, I'll take Michael Jordan one-on-one. Ain't nobody taking no LeVar. Like, don't cancel us, Chad. That's just an all-time clip in our algorithm. But just the Stephen A. the delivery on ain't nobody taking LeVar is all-time, chat. We need to clip it out, honestly, for the pod. But, when LeVar's making those points, he's still like, LeVar, you can't be saying these things about your kid, and then your kid has to go into work the next day and deal with the consequences of these things. Like, he is, like, Stephen A. is being consistent with the basketball stuff that he is saying there with the LeBron points. But like you're saying, again, LeBron is with his son. There's just going to be a different dynamic to how you feel about, honestly, Chad, as well, like how you feel about the basketball things being said about him. Because it's just difficult to separate that from the player and the person when, you're looking through the lens of that kind of thing sometimes. Sometimes it can, and not that it, we're saying it blurs, distorts, it's going to make you see it in the wrong way. It's just going to make you highlight certain things that are going to stand out. And, it's going to be hard to separate criticism in one way versus another way. And especially maybe if it's a lot of it is being translated through headlines that, if you're just constantly seeing headlines that are going to be misconstruing things, and you're constantly have people in your life that, are maybe not intentionally like feeding you bad information, but things get exaggerated, things get blown out of proportion. Again, people see something and go, "Oh, that's crazy," and they exaggerate in their own mind, and then when they pass it on to LeBron, they exaggerate even more than when they had exaggerated when they remembered it. And maybe he's getting all this sort of little bit of out of context, exaggerated information with what's going on as well too. But again, the personal attacks of it is kind of crazy. And I would need to go back and like look at listen to the LeBron stuff about like what he said. Did he say like any words and stuff? Because like when Charles was saying the thing about NBA coverage at ESPN a week or two ago, and he was saying like, oh, those fools over at ESPN, blah, blah, blah. Stephen A. was on First Take being like, hey, that's just Charles Barkley. That's just how he talks. Like, his two favorite words are fool and idiot. Like, that's what he calls people. He's like, when Barkley's on ESPN, he's like, I'm sure, Stephen A. said, I'm sure he's going to be calling me a fool once a week when he moves over to ESPN. And I mean, Barkley even said himself in his rant, he's like, I'm going to be a fool next year because I'm going to be working for that network. So, I mean, Barkley's still like a fun-loving guy that's just saying things, and Stephen A. is still able to separate that type of stuff, you would think. But and again, I'm sure his personal relationship with Barkley is a little bit different as well too, Chad. But it's just to go to that level again, to where I'd have to go back and see what LeBron was even saying again because I listened to that McAfee interview, and I kind of knew already what he was saying going into it again with some of the headline stuff that was being brought up and some of the clips. And by the time I had listened to it, Stephen A. had already responded as well too, so clips of the response were out, and this thing was already in, full effect. As it has been heating up, for a while now, and then, with LeBron confronting him in the game a couple weeks ago as well too, chat. But, I mean, he was saying, again, like, some personal harsh things about LeBron. He called him a liar, chat, was calling him a bully, was just, I mean, tough things you'd want to say about a guy that, just like, I get that, you're willing to go and debate him and say these things, and I guess if you have points to back up the stuff that you're saying, then by all means go out there and say it. I'm just saying, again, with the basketball stuff, we get it. And like I said, there is a consistency sometimes to the thought process in the way that certain people can conduct themselves in a basketball sense. But the fact that it crossed over into the personal thing was tough to see, Chad. Yeah, it was tough to see. It's a little like a Kendrick Drake situation almost, which was the main beef last year, and I guess it's the main beef. Stephen A. versus LeBron is now going to be the main beef for, at least in a culture sense, challenge. Hopefully that's the only beef we have to deal with over here. But Kendrick and Stephen A. when the fact that it actually like turned nasty like that, where Stephen A. was almost like dropping A minor lines on LeBron James was, a little tough. And tough just tough 2025 for LeBron as well too. I mean, I know he gets Luka Doncic and a chance to really extend his career in an interesting way, but he's had now Drake come out and say and hint to some very sort of unseemly things about LeBron maybe in his personal life, and LeBron or Stephen A now getting very personal about LeBron in a beef. And again, I think even if LeBron was getting personal with Stephen A, it was still from like a professional, like criticizing him professionally, like I forget if he used any like stupid idiot, like any Charles Barkley words, fools. I don't know if he said any of that type stuff directly, but again, I think he's still kind of saying it from like a basketball take standpoint, from a TV personality standpoint, and not necessarily like, the person's a straight up just liar and bully and bad person and had no friends. There was a post I saw that had him like all clipped out of all the things that Stephen A was like, yeah, LeBron this, LeBron that, LeBron this, LeBron that, and it's tough, Chad. It's tough. Two of the biggest star in basketball and the biggest star in the basketball media beefing with each other. You hate to see it. But he did mention a couple other things in the LeBron conversation that was interesting as well, too. He mentioned that something that I actually completely, I feel like, agree with, and if there's, LeBron's definitely one of the most, like, just the, 0.10001% of athletes who have ever walked the earth. Like, he's just one of the most unrelatable personalities to ever exist. It's just like, how do you even relate in any way to, I guess, obviously LeBron's definitely got a very relatable background. I'm thinking, the professional version of LeBron now, that's at the peak of his powers, walking around as the best NBA player in the world, one of the richest guys, a billionaire. Like, how do you compare yourself, and what is relatable, like, in a, again, not in like LeBron's got nothing relatable in a bad way. Just like, is there any comparable crossover traits between me and LeBron right now? Besides the fact that we might have like a similar free throw percentage. Like, it could honestly be kind of close. But he mentioned that cookies were his main vice, chat, in this LeBron conversation. He mentioned that when he was in Miami, he had it on the plane where they just kind of knew, like, after games, it was, 2 cookies or whatever, chat. Hey, pause, but, couple of chocolate chippers on the side. That might also be a pause, chat, but just some nice normal Otis Spunkmeyers, I guess. I don't know what they were going for, homemade, or it had to have been an Otis Spunkmeyer, chat. What are we doing if it's not an Otis Spunkmeyer? But I mean, if it's Otis Spunkmeyer, I guess it's anybody's vice. But just in a bigger cookie conversation in general, as somebody who is not necessarily the most heavy on like sweet treats and desserts and things like that, and candy especially. Candy, it's not I'm not gonna sit here and like judge candy. People be like, candy's bad and all that stuff. I'm just saying it's not something that's necessarily in my rotation all the time. And there are times where the candy will be around, candy will be offered, candy will be in the mix, and I'll be eating a couple pieces and I'm like, yeah, you know what, this is actually pretty good. I can see why snacking on it all the time is definitely something that would be very, very tempting. But for us, we're just lucky that that's something that we don't have to necessarily fight off anyways, is the craving for a lot of those sweet treat type things. But cookies is definitely one of them. Cookies is right at the top of the list. And LeBron said it got so bad at one point that Pat Riley had to tell the flight attendants that cookies just had to be banned from the flight in general. LeBron, he's like, you can't be eating any more cookies, chat. It must have been after the 2011 finals. If we're being honest, he's like, got to take away LeBron's desserts. Man's got to win a title before he can get the Otis Spunkmeyers back. But it was finally like a very relatable, real thing about LeBron, where it's like, oh, cookies, a vice, chat. He's like, that's my main thing. I just indulge in a couple of those every now and then. It's like, oh, chat. I mean, I might be go firing up some cookie dough right after this. There's a little container in the fridge that I'm thinking about right now. Right now. Hits every time, chat. Pause. But shout out LeBron. Again, this anything we can say that we agree with and stand with throughout the LeBron conversation and the response and anything thereafter. I mean, this is one of the takes that we could definitely get behind, chat. And he also had a moment that really checked my basketball knowledge in this whole situation as well, too, chat, where he was talking about the decision. And they were asking him, and he was just walking through the dynamics of setting that up from like a television standpoint and what was going on there, because that's part of the decision that people, I feel like going back, that's part of a talking point of why the decision was just kind of sucked for everybody. And it was like, oh, you know, obviously the super teams just stack the team. You get some of the best players in the league, but you also, you know, have a couple of the rotation. You're able to replenish the roster in you know, a similar type way, chat. But when he had a chance to go on TV and he had a chance to do the decision and he had a chance to leave Cleveland, I totally had forgotten that one of the main reasons that the decision was on TV was to raise money for charity. And again, it gets brought up as a talking point a lot. It's like, oh, he left the team, he televised it, he switched the power dynamics, he did all this different stuff, he ruined the business of basketball and all these different things, but he was putting on a charity event, chat. What do you want the man to do? He's a good man and he's going to sign up for that. And he said they raised like $2.5 million. Like, that's some real money. They're actually putting bucks in the bank, chat. Sometimes you see these, I don't know, like you get like a game show or something that'll donate a check and it'll be like, the winner gets $10,000. It's like $10K? I mean, I'm not going to be not grateful for any amount of money with a K, but I'm just saying for the amount of competitive work in game show standards, what are we talking here, chat? I don't think that would be necessarily top dollar. But for donation standards, I feel like 2.5 is not bad. If we're talking euros, if we're talking, you know, US dollars here in a little bit. But it was like, oh man, you need to make sure you're going back and revisiting some of these moments and making sure you're still staying up on what was actually happening again in the moment with some of this stuff, because that is a very, very important piece to the whole thing. You should definitely remember that. Oh, yeah. Boys and Girls Club, it made $2.5 million from the decision. That's probably a pretty good thing that ended up actually happening on TV then, chat. It's just what it is. But Maryland down 4 now. We're 3 minutes into the first half. Alabama 14-point lead on BYU with 12 minutes in the second half left. So that game looks like Alabama might be the team that ends up dominating. And like we were saying, that's probably matchup based a little bit. But there's been good hustle from them tonight as well, too. Like, I mean, the three-pointers and the floor spacing has been at an all-time, chat. But some of the diving on the floor, some of the rebound stuff. And like we're saying, with the way BYU's making them work as well, too, the fact they're winning it like that. Or maybe they're not outright winning it. Three-point shooting is mostly winning it for them. But the fact that they're having it in the mix and they're competing with BYU physically in that way. And I don't know if, you know, college basketball fans would say that, again, neither of them, I think, are a great defensive team. So I don't know if we could look at the numbers. I don't know if there's a way to say which team was the more physical sort of effort team in the season. But either way, it's still kind of being matched a little bit on both sides. And Florida on the interior with the dunk chat. So up 8, 16-15. The Cooper flag countdown starts now, chat. Cooper flag versus Caleb Love. For some reason, I wanted to say Filipowski was in Arizona, but he's on the Jazz. We all remember Filipowski going to the NBA and his lovely, lovely NBA draft lady, girlfriend, partner, whatever title I have on it, chat. Just a lovely, lovely situation. But yeah, do we even need to look up this Arizona roster here real quick? I'm excited for this one, chat. This is going to be a fun one. Is Proctor just straight up a better basketball player? Oh, chat, we're not going to spoil track. Is Proctor just straight up a better basketball player than him, chat? It's definitely a question. But has Proctor had as many impressive tournament moments as Caleb Love has accumulated throughout the course of his year? And they lost in the second round last year by 1. I'm thinking I was on last year's page. So they won, of course, by 4 in the second. Won by Eugene by a significant amount as well, too. 25-1 to win the title. For the preseason odds that year, we've got Love as a 13th. Jaden Bradley, KJ Lewis, Henry Vassar, Tobe Aweka, Anthony Delorso, and Carter Bryant is the team chat. So they do kind of have guys, honestly. This is a deep team. Kind of have guys is crazy, but either way, kind of a deep team. Kind of works. Some good balance. And of course, Caleb Love is a star. The thing about Caleb Love that year was, if I remember that roster correctly, North Carolina also had like a couple of really good bigs that year. I think Bacon was also a big part of that team that year as well. So not that Caleb Love didn't have massive clutch scoring performances and massive heat check games as well too. There was a focus maybe a little bit differently on the interior and just different players as well away from maybe what our guy Cam or Caleb, sorry. Hey, yo, chat. Why did I say Cam? Our guy Caleb is doing. Let's see here. 16-8. 16.8 this year. Round of 32, 10 of 18, 29 points that year. But was that his second year that they made that Final Four run? Or his first? Might have been his first year, honestly. Little freshman Caleb. Oh, yeah, no. It was his second year. And I keep saying Final Four. Made the national title game, chat. You forget that Caleb Love was the guy that ended Coach K's career a little bit early. 2 games too early. I don't know how many people were like super thrilled about the idea of Coach K getting another ring, but that's one of the few you're okay with. It's at the end of his run. He's a great coach. He's earned it. And then Caleb Love in North Carolina just absolutely spoiled it. And then they end up losing to the, Obagi, Braun, Jalen Wilson, McDormick, Remy Martin. Another just, you're not going to talk about this guy's the best player in the national title team. Abaji's the new Brandon Knight, chat. Ooh. Abaji, Brandon Knight. I don't know if that account gets you more or less excited. But we do have, let me see here, chat. 93-86 against Baylor. Also, Leaky Black as well, too. Brady Manick. Really good floor spacer. Yeah. It was a good balance of a team that made sense together. Obviously went on a great run. But I don't know if you would necessarily say that he was straight up the best player. Did he win tournament MVP that year? Or Final Four? It doesn't look like he did, chat. It's not his little box score resume. Up here, he was obviously all-tourney, all-region, Pac-12 Player of the Year. This might be a different guy. And the countdown has now started as well, too. I guess, are we less than... Oh, well, it'll be after the games. East Region. So they're playing on... Are they playing on the same court? Am I an idiot, chat? Of course. So Alabama, BYU. They need to do like the Summer League 2 sort of court style where... I don't know. Can you fire them up at the same time? I was going to say you could move one game over to the other court, but if you just had 2 courts going, then you could like just fire them up on the next game at the same time. But I just like the idea of getting demoted down into the next court. But like the timeout, you're down 15 with 7 minutes, or 15 with 7 minutes is not quite enough, chat. But you know, you're down 20 points, 3 minutes left. Just we're gonna take care of all the replays and the final minute shenanigans all over on the B court. And then, oh, they're storming back. We got to move back to the main court for the last 90 seconds of Alabama BYU as they have made it insane. See, chat? I think it makes a ton of sense. I think the drama would be absolutely thrilling. It would be can't miss basketball. That's for sure. And shout out to the grandma hooking us up with some great snacks, chat. Love to supply it. We're going to shout out our grandma because, again, the brands themselves, not the hookup. The middleman, still grandma, chat. Still occasionally popping through with some clutch snacks, chat. Okay, Queen. Okay, Queen. Do we need to just make that a phrase for every time he does something really good, chat? Okay, Queen. We'll get a drop. We'll get somebody in IT to say it. Oh, he's got to move his feet on the perimeter. Of course, the defense is going to be a concern for the NBA, but make no mistake, it's not just the NBA, chat. If they got to go against Duke, ooh. I mean, that's tough for anybody, but obviously, the perimeter says that. Moloch, chat, could be a fun matchup. Could be a matchup for the draft spot. Whoever wins that game, I mean, the national title game, obviously, but whoever wins that game maybe gets drafted higher. And you see him work on the offensive glass, chat. I mean, you cannot have one of those 3-rebound Big Ten championship games. I mean, Clayton again for Florida, carrying from the scoring position. Accounting for... They didn't put the math, but did they say a third of their points? Already, chat. I mean, I was going to say him and Cooper Flagg might be the two easiest tournament MVPs, but I think, honestly, you kind of have to give it to... I guess we have to go back and look at the full box score, but... Again, Proctor had been leading the team in scoring. So I feel like you'd almost have to give it to Proctor this year. Just be like, well, you know, sorry. The man caught fire from 3-point range. Oh, off the back iron from Maryland. The offensive boards the last couple of times down. It's been Reese and Queen and them just getting hands on it, tipping it, pause, keeping it alive. The box out and the turnover, chat. So right when Florida goes on a run, Maryland, they lock in. And they hit another 3. Rice! Rice has hit a couple of major threes to stave off Florida runs. Brings it back to 6. 13.5 left. Wow, chat. 2 white guys in for Florida. This is not the move. I don't know if that's winning basketball, chat. We'll just have to hope to win. We'll have to hope that it's college still. What does that mean for our all-white lineups, chat, of tournament teams where you're just like, there's no way that team should win the game? I mean, Yale? You're telling me Yale's not going to still find a way to manage to have a all-white starting 5 somehow? They'll figure it out, chat. Oh. The interior defense in the hands, the active hands of Maryland, forcing another turnover, chat. It's the defensive activity that's keeping him in the game now. Just the activity in general on the glass and the defense. Oh, dribbling out of bounds. Is that Rice doing a little bit too much? Gillespie? Gotta call out the right person. Shout out Gillespie, chat. Just slow it down next time. Some breathers. And chat, I don't know if we mentioned this already, but tomorrow is an absolute crazy, I guess tonight, technically, is just an absolutely crazy music day, chat. I can't even remember all of the albums that we have dropping tomorrow. I find the ones that I was looking at that I was maybe interested in was Lil Durk, obviously, his album's going to be kind of interested and kind of anticipated in the hip-hop community. Will Smith is back with an album. Yassine Bey, formerly Mos Def, and The Alchemist have an album, and there's one more. Oh, Boldy James, of course, chat. If anybody's dropping an album, it's going to be Boldy James at this point, but I thought there was one other. Nav was dropping an album. but I don't remember. So I guess, worst case scenario, little review or something. Never hurt anybody, but it'll be even just difficult to see where we'll get the first listen and what'll be the thing that we'll get, I guess, drawn to first. Because, oh, chat, there it is. Once an episode, I have to touch the wrong button, pause, and collapse all the background stuff. Oh, I thought we had the internet up still. But nope, we lost that too. Okay. Internet back. Uh-oh, chat. The camera's not back. What happened? IT, where'd we go? Not when Maryland's down 10. Oh, down 10? That might be the perfect time for the camera to go away. Give us a second, chat. We're on our way. Whoa. IT, slow at typing. There we go. Okay. We are back, chat. But, yeah. What do we say? Down 8? Down 10? I forget what we were talking about before. Bama's pushed this to 20. 21. So, what was the Final Four last year? Was Bama in the Final Four last year? Auburn, we were rooting for Auburn a little bit going into the tournament because of our guy Broom. And they were, unfortunately, a bit of an early exit. It just happens sometimes. Sometimes your number gets called. And it is what it is. But I forget if Bama made the Final Four last year. They were definitely an Elite Eight team. Definitely. I say that with full confidence, chat. Fully confident that Alabama was in the Elite Eight last year. And definitely did not lose in the second round. Lost national semifinal. They lost to the UConn. Okay. So was this the championship game? Alabama-UConn. I feel like in the moment, a lot of people said it was, though, of course, Purdue, Zach Edey, you just never know. And they took you forget NC State, DJ Burns? You forget, chat, that there was a moment we thought they were feisty. And Bama, UConn just ran through the tournament last year. So, second half, kind of managed to pull away from them a little bit. I guess, 14 looks a little bit worse. Probably a collective, I guess, was it one run or... I need to go back and rewatch last year's Final Four, chat, but... last year was pretty... I guess that goes with what you're saying, pretty basic, but not really, chat. You got a 1, a 1, a 4, and an 11. You got good averages there. A 1 and a 4 is a 5. A 1 and 11 is a 7. So you got middle averages for your seeds? Is that a good way to calculate? That's how you calculate whether or not the tournament worked. We need to set like an arbitrary number. Like a pH scale. 7 is the perfect amount of Final Four pH. This year, a little too acidic. A little too basic, maybe? A little too basic. If we get Michigan State versus, I was going to say, Arkansas with Calipari, but Arkansas wouldn't necessarily be basic. But, Michigan State, Florida, Duke, Houston, just like, oh, yep, 4 teams we expect. And Duke wins the national title. So, if you just golf score it, average it together, and you get some, like a 7, perfect sort of balance for that situation, chat. But, yeah, obviously not a game to remember if you're an Alabama fan. Grant Nelson went off that game, 6 to 12 for the field, 1 of 4 for 3, though. And, did they not have Sears for this one, chat? They barely did. No, he was there. 24 and 9. 24 and 3. Shout out Sears. Great work. Great work from our guy Mark. Okay, chat. 100-point mark with 6 minutes left. Oh man, they haven't crossed it on the Paramount stream yet. Here we go. The lob inside. Back up to Sears for 3. 100 points. Alabama is at 100 points with 6 minutes left. Uh-oh, chat. History is on the line. We're now needing to look What is the record? I'm assuming one team back in the day got like a ton. Okay, for an individual, it's 61. But if we went most team points in a tournament game, did anybody get to like? Nobody got to. The record for the record for points scored in a single men's NCAA tournament is a whopping 264, set in 1990. In the second round matchup. So this would be any tournament matchup. Okay, yeah, I guess. Sorry, Chan. I was searching the stat, thinking of finding a stat for the Final Four, but we don't really need one for the Final Four because we're still only in the Sweet 16 as of right now. This is to advance the Elite Eight. So 264 is the most ever. And is this definitely the year that Glenn Rice won the title at Michigan? One of the great Michigan basketball seasons of all time. Another guy you don't talk about. Glenn Rice? What about Glenn Rice? As just, oh yeah, remember this guy was the best player on an awesome title team and just scored like 30 points a game in college and was awesome? Yeah, it's Glenn Rice, baby. Glenn Rice, an absolute role model. Basketball role model. Kids, watch some Glenn Rice. If you're at it. Glenn Rice in college with the footwork stuff. Chat, Glenn Rice was a problem, chat. It's just what it is. 18 a game for his career. 18, 6, and 2. Lock it in, chat. Lock it in. That's Hall of Fame numbers all the way around. There's no way he's not. One All-Star, write it off. It don't matter. Points per game twice. Led the league in three-point shooting 2 in a row. And then field goal percentage up over 55% for Glenn Rice every year. Just an absolute menace, Chad. Shout out to Glenn Rice. Florida up 12 with 9:45 left, chat. Derek Quain is setting the stage for a marvelous return here. A marvelous comeback. He made the impossible play, kind of, sort of impossible, but really cool. But also, you know, we'll just say it's impossible. He made that play against Michigan State, Kansas State in the last round. So we'll see if he's able to keep the magic going. Can he have a throw his team on the back type moment and just carry his team? 20-0 run. Derek Queen turns into, speaking of LeBron, he turns into LeBron on the Pistons. But anyway, chat, was there anything else from the LeBron conversation that we had to mention about? I forgot we went off rambling there at some point with that, but oh yeah, he did also, of course, you know, speaking of the eras thing, which everybody talks about, oh, wait a second, chat. I didn't realize we once again have run out of space for the recording. I guess you guys are like, every couple of weeks there's going to be that stream where... Pause. Hey, yo, chat. Hey, yo. There's going to be that recording where... There's going to be that moment where we realize, oh, wait a second. We weren't keeping up on the files. We've got to go back and delete. Oh! Chat. Alabama. Florida, the dominance. The yawns. What's this tournament on a scale of 1 to 5 yawns, chat? I'd say with some of it's not boring, but the games are probably almost probably a 2 on the yawn scale at this point. The Peter yawn scale. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and we're back. Had to clear up a little bit more space in the computer to get this recording to continue for the pod. So here we go, chat. Again, speaking of the eras with LeBron and with Michael Jordan and with the LeBron conversation, I guess hopefully for their pod recording it wasn't out too long. I don't know how much time is necessarily going to be missed there. Okay, you got us, chat. We weren't paying attention there for a second. We were looking at the scores in the games, but you've got and rambling about the LeBron conversation, which to be continued in regards to the players' eras where, you know, of course he's making a joke by saying that Giannis would score 250 points in a game back in the day. But I don't know, Chet. There's just something about sports that we do this with that is a little bit different than the rest of history, where we don't do this with like dudes with other stuff, where you drop a dude back into the medieval times and just like, okay, well, you put a guy from a sword fighter from now back in the medieval times, and he's just gonna wipe the best sword fighter. You're like, I don't know, the best sword fighter from medieval times, like that's a pause chat, but you get what we're saying. The best guy in hand-to-hand combat is not also pause. Maybe back then there were a little more. I don't know. There's some years where you're like, wait, in this part of the world they're burning people at the stake, and in this part of the world they're all just everything goes and everybody's just having a great time over there. Like, it's pretty stark contrast. But with just putting guys back into other eras, there's just so much more context that goes into a question like that than just, or an answer like that, than just whether or not you're putting Giannis into this type of situation where, like, the training for one is in the physicality of guys, and just, again, like, evolution is a part of the game. Did LeBron say that? Somebody said that in part of the interview, part of the process. Like, you just got to acknowledge that evolution is a part of the game, of course. Like, the physicality and some of the stuff that Giannis is going to bring to the table is going to be, in modern times, just a little bit more advanced than some of the stuff that is happening in previous eras. But, like Mad Dog was saying in the response to it as well, too, you got guys like Artis Gilmore and Dr. J in the 70s and in the 80s, and you get like Elgin Baylor and even George Mikan, I guess, Will. There's been freaks throughout all of NBA history that have been athletically dominant and have been, Giannis-y freak. And again, has anybody been as freaky as Giannis? Of course not. But then, again, that's also Giannis in the modern NBA compared to modern athletes as well, too. So, just the whole training, the whole diet, the whole weight program, bulking, cutting, whatever the off-season routine is for these teams, and whatever the focus is for when they're not on the clock. Like, now that you just need to, go and, be competing, chat, like, you gotta just really be approaching it like, kind of a different level. And when you're dropping a guy into an era, like, is Giannis playing in Converse? Like, if you're putting Giannis in the era with the weight training and the Converse and the diet and all the stuff, then it's just going to be a different conversation. He's going to be a different basketball player. He's going to be a different person, chat. It's not even going to be close. And if you're dropping an old guy into modern times and giving them all the modern benefits, it's just going to be a totally different story as well, too, which is why I never like questioning whether or not people, I mean, I guess I do like questioning whether or not people can jump into the eras, but I always hate it when people doubt whether or not people can jump into the eras. And I know LeBron was, people have talked about, like, oh, LeBron, and that's part of his point, where people are saying that I can't jump back into the eras, but it goes the other way, where people don't think the older guys can necessarily jump forward. And it's, again, well, they don't have the benefit of being put just straight into the time machine, I guess, with the modern stuff. But if you take Michael Jordan now and you're giving him the modern Jordans, how does that technology work? Like, if you put Jordan in the league now, then Jordans haven't been developed, so they haven't been working on Jordan technology with the billion-dollar brand that Jordan is. But if it can somehow work out where you can get Jordans in 85 and still get the shoes, but somehow get MJ in, like, 2013 when he enters the league, chat, like, it's just totally crazy. MJ's, like, now entering the peak. He's been in his peak years the last couple of years. Maybe he's won a title or two, and he's gotten the, I mean, it's, crazy, obviously, that Jordan would be playing in our time. It's really be cool to see. But, again, with all of the different factors going into it, like, he's just going to he's going to be bigger. He's going to be faster. He's going to be stronger. He's going to be a more focused outside shooter as that knowledge has continued to develop. And you're going to add all of those things on top of the bag that he, like, already just kind of naturally developed as well, too. And you get a guy like Barkley that's able to make a living for a long time, who's also just a really skilled passer. Robinson is able to make a living for a long time. These guys are just able to bounce around and play forever. And it is what it is, chat. But just the fact that the older guys get respected in that way, like Dr. J is a perfect example. Did I mention Artis Gilmore already that Mad Dog brought up? Like, even if you bring Artis Gilmore back, guess what? I think he probably ends up having a similar impact career. And if you look at a guy like Bill Russell and you go, oh, you put Bill Russell into the modern day age, is he going to be like, you know, a couple of All-Stars, maybe some third-team All-NBAs, like in the mix? Like, no, you know what? Bill Russell is still, the defensive instincts are still there. And again, you give him some modern bounce and some modern strength and whatever. Like, with his defensive IQ and his hustle, his winning mentality, guess what? He's probably still going to be one of the best players in the league. And we've seen that you can work with that type of rim-running center as well, too, potentially. I mean, you can definitely go really small with it, but... And not that even would it even be, like, really, really small, but... You know, you can definitely go small with it, or you can go size with it, and there is... Definitely provides some added versatility, but... Just the fact that a guy like Oscar Robertson, you just go, oh, could he be dropped into the modern time? Like, what would he do? Probably the same thing. Probably average a triple-double, because he's got the scoring instincts, he's attacking the glass on rebounds, and he's setting guys up. He's got a great feel for the game, which are unreplicable, chat. It's just hard to overcome. But Florida has now opened this up as well, too, to a 20-point lead both ways. So now, things aren't looking good for our lower-seeded brethren here in the Sweet 16. Looks like, I guess these teams aren't necessarily on a collision course with each other, chat, but on a collision course for the next round. So let's take a quick break, and then the action resumes. More March Madness college basketball right after this. Okay, chat. You see officially 113 to 88 for Alabama. Wow, chat. Wow, Alabama absolutely rolls BYU tonight. Bet the overs, bet everything Alabama's way. Uh, the Crimson Tide, I guess, definitely rolled your way tonight. But, oh, excuse me, chat. The Maryland is, down 12. I guess down 15 again now. They scored a couple of points. Queen is just an interesting player, chat. Just an interesting player from an NBA standpoint because I was trying to think. I don't feel like we've had a really good, like, out of time type player recently. I don't know. It just feels like the NBA's kind of done a good job. The feeder systems of the NBA and the whole process has kind of done I don't know, a good job, but a job anyways of, putting out these athletes and these wings and these defenders that the league is looking for. And like we talked about, the way the league is gravitating from a size standpoint, I mean, you definitely see these type of players obviously at the top of the list. Sometimes teams and franchises are drafting prototypes more so than proven talent, but regardless, this is definitely the trend that we've been seeing with these big wings and these big ball handlers. But Queen, as an offensive guy, like the defense, make no mistake, chat. Like Florida is just the guys, the centers and Condon and stuff. They can just run under the basket. They can get to the rim. There's not necessarily a great defensive presence there. And I know he's gonna get the Jokic comps. Well, I don't know. I guess I don't know if he's gonna get the Jokic comps, chat. I feel like there's gonna be some Jokic talk for him. There's gonna be some talk for some of these other guys. Jokic is just the problem is there's not a lot of middle ground again for a guy like Queen, because I guess the point that I was going to make was you have to, like, how good offensively is he going to have to be in the league to make up for defense? Like Naz Reid, is he a little Naz Reid-ish maybe? But Naz Reid is probably a better three-point shooter. He's more of an actual, I don't know if an actual center, but he's not, I don't think, the floor spacer at this point of his career that Naz Reid is necessarily. But at least Naz Reid level good at basketball. And again, as a floor spacer becomes a totally different thing where, offensively it's like, okay, we have his size out there for the rebounding, but now he's just a big rebounder who can space the floor from three and, give us that in size and interior on defense anyways. At least there's a presence there with some of the other bigs that we have. But if he's not going to give you that defensive stuff, like how good does it? And not to say that I doubt his ability on offense. He's obviously a very talented offensive player. It's just, again, with Jokic is a good defensive player. Jokic is not a bad defender. Jokic is not an elite defensive ability player, but Jokic is a really good team defender. And also, the advanced stats is he's so good offensively that it makes him a good defender. He's still outscoring the other team, so it's like, well, the defense has to be good, I guess, if you're a stat. But he is, in his own right, a really, really solid defender. And I don't know if Queen is going to be a solid defender. Like, if you're, potentially a negative on that side of the court, and what would your offense look like even if it was... Because we see it from the guards, we see it from the wings as well, too. Of, like, what their impact is if they're not giving you the well-rounded thing. So maybe he is suited a little bit for some bench. And he's got the 5 rebounds tonight as well, too. Again, he had 3 in the Big Ten championship game against Michigan. He's a double-digit rebounder, but he'll just have those nights, chap. And maybe he is suited for a fun... Like, he'll find his niche, I'm sure. He'll be a fun guy in whatever role and a super productive guy in whatever role. And maybe it isn't a role where he's like a 6th or 7th man off the bench. Maybe Queen's more of a 6th man of the year type contender. Like, that'd be a fun potential prop. Like, Derek Queen's 6th man of the year. It'd be fun to have a center as a 6th man of the year as well, too. I feel like guards, of course, and secondary ball handlers and extra wings and stuff can be the next guys that you go to in your rotation. And I guess Naz Reid, speaking of 6th man of the year as well, too, chat. But, yeah, Queen... Like, I would see him winning that award more than, and I don't want to say this disrespectfully, like, that's obviously, I'm saying it, I see him achieving some award status potentially in the NBA. Like, I would see that as a more likely outcome than maybe like an all-star or necessarily an all-NBA. And again, that's not I don't see him on that level. It's just, I get like Svengoon, maybe, but even Svengoon is, and Svengoon's a good rebounder as well too. Like Svengoon doesn't give you a random 3 rebound type game. Just, you know, we have 5 minutes with or 5 rebounds with like 4 minutes left in the second half at this point. So he could get a couple of garbage time ones here and bulk up the stats. But everything at this point, of course, down 14 is a little too late. So in like the main part of the game, what was he doing? We know what the stats were if we watch him in that moment, chat. Condon again getting to the rim. Off another offensive rebound. Is that Gillespie just going to take a 3 from deep? Pause. 3 minutes left. Florida scores again. It's not college football. They don't seed. You don't have to push yourself too much. But then you want to hit the highest levels that you can as well, too. You're going to be like, oh, yeah, that's us fully clicking right there. So ideal if you could time that to be in the national championship game when everybody picked you to win. So that would involve you making the national championship game as well, too, which would, you know, be a nice sigh of relief. At least I still get a lot of points in my bracket for being like, hey, you picked the national championship game correctly. Maybe one of the Houston ends up winning it. I guess we did have like Duke versus Florida, I think, in our bracket. But maybe Florida ends up winning it. But maybe it works out the other way. And they're sure looking like it, chat. They are sure looking like it. Okay, we're waiting on Duper flag! Duper flag, Duker flag. Hey, yo, that might be a pause. We're bordering on sketchy name territory there, chat. But the Cooper flag, the main character. I heard a nickname, speaking of Tate Frazier again, double Tate Frazier shout out. He gave a nickname for somebody. I think it was him. And I forget what it was. Should have written it down, chat. But it was gold. It was A+ material. 40% from 3 tonight for Florida from 3-pointer. 16 turnovers as well, too. Able to overcome that. It doesn't even matter. 51% from the field. 39, so basically 40% from the field for Maryland. 31.6. 6 for 19 for the 3-point line for Maryland tonight as well, too. And Clayton Jr. with 13, 3 of 9 from the field, and 2 of 6 from 3. Richard with 6 for 9 from the field, 3 of 6 from the 3 is the big former. And Eberdeen, and he fouled out as well, too, I think. Oh, no, who fouled out? Somebody fouled out. Oh, yeah, Chinilu fouled out. 10 points, 4 for 8, 8 rebounds, 5 fouls, chat. So getting some of the secondary guys. And Haas, some of the bench guys, stepping up and playing a big role. And getting a win in a bad Clayton game as well, too, is, I think, a really important step. This team needs to just take a couple more. And again, Queen is at 27, 5, and 1 assist for the game as well, too. Reese, 12 points, 5 for 9. I'm going to, shocker, people, I'm going to be a Julian Reese fan. It is what it is. I think probably already fair to say that I would have a bunch of draft stock. I've been on the phones with the accounts. We've been monitoring the situation. Wouldn't say we bought it up as at an all-time low, but we definitely bought it up when it was way lower than it's going to be in a couple years, chat. He's going to be a guy that's in the mix. Let me see. They didn't draft him. What? Wait, what page was I on, chat? Let's see here. I think I'm talking myself into it. I mean, if the 3-point percentage is decent and the floor spacing is there, because you can see the defense, you can see the rebounding, you can see the energy that he provides. He's definitely been, again, with Queen, like, he's not a guy that you would bring in as your main rim protector. But I guess not really a 3-point shooter at all. Chat, not only is the 3-point shooting percentage low, it is at a whopping 0% this year, as he hasn't taken a three-pointer in nearly 3 seasons. It is what it is. What are we looking at? 6'9", 230? Is there a way to convert him to like an undersized center full-time, chat? With that type of three-point, with that type of floor spacing ability, that's definitely what you're going to be looking for. But again, 13-9 basically his whole career, 11-7 in a couple less minutes as a sophomore when he first got to Maryland. So you go per 40, he's 17-11.5. Like, the rebounding energy is there. A little Dennis Rodman-y? That's probably a little bit of a lofty comp, chat. But you get what we're saying. Like, in the most broadest sense of the comparison, like, could he find value on the court as an undersized rebounder, essentially, is what we're saying. If that's still a role in the modern NBA, again, Dennis Rodman's another one. Like, you go, oh, Dennis Rodman, how does he thrive in the NBA without a three-point shot? By doing the same thing he did all the time, Chad. Actually, Dennis Rodman with more spacing, guess what? Probably gets a little bit more lethal. To be honest, all these guys get more lethal. There's more spacing. Offense is better now. We figured it out. We'll teach them the secrets of basketball, and they'll all be like, man, I get to go back to 19. I mean, we get to rewrite the course of NBA history. And how, but then, you know, Steph, the impact the same way. How does it, if Magic goes in the time machine and then goes back and starts shooting three-point shots as like in a revolutionary style, then, you know, does that just like erase Steph from the timeline in an impactful way? Hopefully not, chat. That'd be a bummer. But again, high 50s for the field goal percentage as well, too, as of late. So, unfortunately, his name is not on the list right now for draft guys. Just Queen in the top 9, which is crazy. He's not in the top 75 on the list. I get sometimes these teams can get really uptight about drafting some of the older players, chat. But come on, what are we doing? He's going to be impactful in Summer League. He's going to make a roster. Former almost top 50 recruit and almost top 50. Is that a class of guys? The rare almost top 50 recruits. Don't hear a lot about that list. But maybe that's a Danny Ainge special, chat. College pedigree, some high school pedigree. Potential tournament. Well, I was going to say potential tournament run. But, oh, yeah, that's right. They are down 18, chat. 2 minutes left. Florida. Moving on to the Elite Eight. Todd Golden, he's got the unit. Janai Broom. This team is stacked. They will be, again, going up against either Arkansas or they will be going up against Texas Tech. The Red Raiders, chat. Will Pat Mahomes be in attendance tonight? It's just the question. And again, Gillespie was 17 as well, too. The Terps played well. They just, unfortunately, I mean, yeah, they played well. They scored 88 points, chat. Their numbers are going to look really good. They gave up 111. 113. Somewhere in that range. It doesn't even matter, chat. That's just not the type of defense that's probably going to end up getting you to the next round. So shout out Maryland, the Terps. A crazy season. They did not advance farther than the Michigan Wolverines. So I know the Big Ten's expanded this year, and there's more teams in the Big Ten, and it doesn't even matter. But old school Big Ten teams, I guess Maryland, are they old school Big Ten? For us, for the original, it's bad when the younger generation that was like, oh, wait, is that how it goes? Okay, we can accept that. And now we're to the point where like, yeah, we can't accept it. It's too much change. They're moving around. Have we become the curmudgeons, or is college basketball too confusing? Chat, let us know. DM us at REMINGTOM on Instagram. I guess not college basketball, but college sports. College sports layout. Oh, Maryland with a massive block at the end of the shot clock here with a minute left. Got to put some good stuff on tape still, Chad. So that is now 8 consecutive times. We were talking about Michigan making it to the Sweet 16 every time they're in the tournament. Well, every time Florida makes the Sweet 16, they say they win it. So 8 straight times now that Florida has made the Sweet 16, and they will be advancing to the Elite Eight. That's a pretty impressive, Chad. Again, not 8 straight years that they made the tournament and done this, but 8 straight times in which they are in the tournament, in which they have made the Sweet 16. Another very specific thing, Chad. is if you make the tournament and you make the Sweet 16, how many wins do you get? But, hey, again, in that round, 8-0 in their last several. So, you got to give them their credit, chat. And shout out, what's the name of this Maryland coach now? I forget this guy. This is the old Louisville coach, right? It's not Mack, is it? Is it Chris Mack? Well, I guess I could have just gone straight to Maryland from our guy. No. He's at College of Charleston, chat? Wow. What a turn of events. From Xavier to Louisville. From a really good Xavier tenure to Louisville to now just College of Charleston. Did they promise him, like, unlimited NIL money? Who knows, chat? But Maryland's coach, this guy's name is, the big reveal. Kevin Willard, that's right. Kevin Willard. I get my ball guys mixed up. Taken over from Mark Turgeon. The long-tenured Mark Turgeon. Going back to 11-12, from 11-12 to 2021. So, yeah, almost a 10-year run, chat. Just, us as a young kid growing up with Mark Turgeon as the head coach in the Maryland Terps. It's just what it was there for a minute. You had Turgeon and Ogeron. Not for the same schools, but definitely at the same time. And that's right, yeah, Big East, Seton Hall. Kevin Willard, Iona, and then Seton Hall. So Rick Pitino following in the path of Kevin Willard. He thought he was following in the path of Chris Mack by going to Iona and then trying to get back to Louisville, but he went to Iona, or he thought, because Chris Mack was where, Xavier and then Louisville, so he thought that this would be the right path, but he was like, oh well, I guess I'll stay in the Big East and go to St. John's instead of Seton Hall, and then who knows, Rick Pitino back to the Big Ten, chat. It could very well happen. So there we go. Florida makes it official. 87-71. Shout out to an unbelievable season by Maryland. Clayton stays alive. Now he's just due for a big game, chat. It's all it is. He struggled in the last one. In the next one, hey, guess what? Due for a big performance. Didn't play well in the last game. Man's up for a heater. Texas Tech, Arkansas, tipping off in a little bit, chat. But make no mistake, Duke versus Arizona is the headline. So should we need to actually, here, let's get the game switched real quick in a short break, and then we'll be right back. We got to put Cooper Flag, Duke. It's got to go main screen, chat. It's just what it is. It's got to be on the big screen. Okay, chat. Paramount Plus having trouble loading up there. Everybody is tuning in to watch Cooper Flag and Duke right now. I mean, again, as Duke continues to advance in these farther rounds, I mean, the ratings are going to go up. People are going to be interested. The storylines are going to continue to increase. I mean, we just screw everything we said earlier, chat. I mean, college basketball might be fine, and there might be these other mid-majors that emerge. Like we said, it's history. It might just happen. I mean, it's a hot take. Who knows? I get, and you know, again, either way, and I can see it either way, chat. I'm just saying, we need to give it, Russillo back. We need to give it a couple of years and see what the trend actually turns out being, since we're only 2 years removed. Such a crazy Final Four. But this is what they want, chat. This is what the top wants. This is what the higher-ups in college basketball crave. They crave the stars. They crave the high-level teams. We don't need any more. They don't want to fix college basketball. They don't want to fix the NBA, or not the NBA, college football, the super conferences, and yeah, the 12-team playoffs to expand and give bigger teams a chance. But guess what happens? Ohio State just makes the playoffs anyways after Michigan should have knocked them out and end up just winning the national title. And it turns out to just be big powerhouse schools going up against big powerhouse schools like you'd expect, chat. And you know what? They end up having some of the most talented players being the better teams. Like we're saying, it not that it shouldn't be that way, but from the money, from the marketing standpoint, this is what you want, chat, because you can feel it. It's prime time. There is just a weight to a game with players like this that unfortunately you do not get. And that's, I don't know if that's, is that just the harsh reality of a mid-major school, chat? And not to say that, I guess mid-major schools could have those, but it just tends to be. It's what a tendency is. So, I mean, and the thing is, like, when you get mid-major schools that have those players emerge, then they can get thrust into the limelight in a different type of way. I mean, and you can see him gain that respect. Wichita State, like we've talked about. I know, you know, Ron Baker and Fred VanVleet maybe weren't NBA projected stars in the same type of way, and VanVleet obviously has gone on to make $40 million a year now with the current contract that he's on, and you know, been an all-star and maybe floated in some all-NBA conversations. I don't remember exactly how highly, if he's ever like logged some all-NBA votes at all. But, you know, he's been a really impactful NBA guy. But even that team with some consistent winning and some consistent tournament runs, like after those guys left, and they were still putting together good teams, but they were still respected as well too in the polls and in the tournament, and still viewed as kind of like, hey, Wichita State is still like a basketball school. Like they can be propped up in that type of way. And you see it in football. You see Boise State in the 20 teams was that iconic team that was not a Power 5 team that was, hey, are they every bit as good? UFC the year that they were claiming to win the national title. And you know, even this year, I mean, we had James Madison a few years ago, and then yeah, maybe this year we didn't have, let's go to the college football polling thing. Like, who was the highest team up that could have crashed potentially? Because there was a team, I guess Boise State was in the mix as well too this year. And conference realignment, chat. Where's Boise State at now? Obviously, they're not. Are they still in the Mountain West? I was going to say, obviously, they're not. In the Mountain West, I think that's all going to shift as well, too. Ay, chat. It's just it's a lot to keep track of. But let's see here. We were going to go college football to the polls to see. But then again, those James Madison guys transferred to Indiana, so it's very similar to the Florida Atlantic situation where those, guess what? The players and the coaches that are impacted that Florida Atlantic run are now impacting this Michigan run. You see those guys just turned out to be, you know, there's good basketball players in that school, actually. And I know that's the whole point as well, too. It's like, hey, they transferred to Michigan. But, you know, I mean, you get some of the extra extended years as well, too, that can make up for it. And, again, do we want to see Florida Atlantic in the tournament every year? Let's get these guys at a powerhouse school and make some money, chat. SMU, BYU, not necessarily like smaller schools. You got SMU in the ACC now as well, too. So I guess now the fact that everybody is actually in a powerhouse conference is going to make it. That's the other thing, chat. There's no small schools anymore. Everybody's in the SEC, the Big Ten. Shout out to all the schools. Everybody's a major school now. Not even like there's like a sneaky Mountain West team, or, you know, I guess the Mountain West still does exist in a way. What's the other one? The American Conference was, you know, with Cincinnati there, and is whatever those other teams were. Memphis had some good years in the American, you know, up in some of the top of the polls. Alabama ended. I haven't seen the end of the season. What after, you know, after the bowl game? Like, who cares, chat? We know who won the, you know, how the season ended. So it is what it is. We'll only scroll to right here And just, oh, what happened? The Buckeyes, they didn't play college football this year. That's so funny. I guess Notre Dame's the de facto title winner then? Funny how that works. But, yeah, didn't seem like... And again, maybe this... You look at it and go, oh, NIL. But, like we're saying, where the small schools even exist? Like, this is what they want, chat. They want to focus it to the bigger schools, to the Power 5. And I know that tournament drama is good, and it still happens, and they're still going to provide the stage for it. But at the end of the day, this is the matchup that you want. And I know they showed a little bit of the Caleb Love numbers on the pregame here for this game. Him versus Duke in his career. And make no mistake, he's just a bit of a heat check player anyways. Like, you put his win-loss splits next to each other, and they're going to be pretty far apart. But they were definitely aggressive for Duke. He was like, upper 30% from 3 in wins, and then in losses, he's like 14% from 3 in his career from Duke, and it's 9 games. Again, small sample size as well, too. You get maybe a couple losses. He's, again, hit a couple of threes in those games. But just to get a check on these games here, 9 for 16 in a win in the first matchup as a freshman. Ended this game. Is this, what do we got? Gotta have to read where these box score numbers are all ahead here. Okay, 25, chat, in a game against Duke. And then another 91, 2 91-point wins against Duke as a freshman that year. But that was not the year that they ended up getting him in the tournament. They lost to Florida State that year in the tournament. And he had 13 points. They lost 66-69, 4 for 14. I mean, close game. Definitely, chat. But 6 for 12, 2 for 6. So had a really good freshman year against Duke. But is this like a ever since then do we need to look at? 3 for 10 in a loss. 2 for 7 from 3, 4 for 17 from the field. Finished with 22. 12 for 12 from the free throw line. Still managed to make himself effective in that conference tournament win. So that's twice he's managed to take them down in quote-unquote postseason play, in the conference tournament back-to-back years, and then takes him down in the pause, but, it beats him either way. It's not better, but, gets the win against them. Another postseason game on a bigger stage in the Final Four, Coach K's last game. As much as I would, love Caleb Love as a player and always root for him when he's out there, and as much as Coach K can be a conflicting guy, he's the Cinderella storybook ending is not necessarily the worst thing in the world. And that Palo team was fun to watch as well, too. So Palo getting a national title wouldn't have been the worst thing either. But then Kansas wins. I mean, for our guy Sam. But then again, he gets so many rings in Kansas especially. But Kansas is his team, so that would be the city where he'd be getting the rings. And then a Tatum ring this year. It's just the man's rolling in jewelry right now, chat. It is what it is. He's living in the peak of his... Hopefully he realizes that these are the best years of his sports life. I mean, hopefully he realizes it's never going to get better than Mahomes. It can get awesome. And, I mean, you see with the Pats right now, too. I mean, they go from Brady and... I mean, the Colts, what's been awesome, where you go from Manning to Luck, and I guess you can fall in love with these guys in different ways and develop different... And, the winning can ultimately be... Like, yeah, maybe it cannot be as good as Mahomes, but if there's a guy 30 years from now that wins the Super Bowl for the Chiefs, is Sam not going to be in love with that team and not love that Super Bowl as much as the other ones? Like, I mean, I get it. He's probably going to have favorite Super Bowls, but it's still going to be an awesome moment to experience regardless of who the quarterback is. But again, chat, it's still the peak, maybe confidence in which you root for your guys is never going to be matched with Pat Mahomes, of course. But another postseason win at Duke. Regular season loss, in which again he was 5 for 15, and then finally a loss, but a 5-point loss in a conference tournament game against Duke, but again not good. 0 for 6 from 3, and then winning game 2, technically a non. Oh yeah, because he's Arizona, transferred at this point, so non-conference game against Duke, 3 for 10 in a 78-73 win, and then another regular season matchup this past year, 3 for 13, 1 for 9. So essentially, since he was, and what was that win? That other tournament win. He has not played well against Duke since he was a freshman. So, I mean, you can even put up the stats and go, there's been some good performances. But it's been a while, chat. It's been a while. And again, you look at it and go, there's been some high-level performances and even some wins. Or some high-level matchups and some big spots and even some wins. But just thinking back to watching some of those games, I didn't remember the shooting number efficiency necessarily being there. And again, you want to nitpick, like he's getting wins in some of these big spots. But just to think about the confidence that you would have going in for a game like this, hopefully he's able to actually right his wrongs, right his poor shooting performances and be able to actually solidify a win here against Duke. But Jordan Bradley at 12 a game, KJ Lewis at 11, and Henry Vessener at 9, chat. Let's go revisit the box score here quick, too, from their last couple. Because, again, it's a heat check guy. It's still a solid overall team. But with their reliance on him, you would never put Caleb Love as, like, the top of your list as, like, carry a team necessarily. But, again, it's sort of a Clayton-esque role. He can definitely be a perimeter guy that can take care of all the scoring needs on offense anyways, if the shots are falling. But, Chad, I have a feeling this is going to get out of hand quickly. Maybe not. But you're looking at the starting lineups. Again, the familiarity with Duke as well, too, at this point, has grown with their couple of tournament games here. They're definitely, like, weirdly a little bit of a darling as well, too. Again, everybody's kind of relying on them to win their brackets, win their pools, win their monies, all the parlays. Like, there's a lot of hopes and financial stakes riding on Duke right now. But people are just kind of invested in the team as well, too. Like, people kind of just genuinely like the team. So, Bradley with a big first game. And Trey Townsend as well, too. I should have, name should have registered when I saw it the first time. Has had some big tournament moments. I forget exactly where he is transferred from. But again, I guess he's another one of those mid-major school guys that moved up. But is he like Loyola Chicago, maybe? He might be. But if they can get some consistency, I mean, Jordan Bradley's 12 again, and then you get an awesome Caleb Love game, of course, in the second round. Townsend 0 for 2. Tobe, Awaka, and Anthony Dell'Orso with 12. So you have guys that can get to the line, of course, as well. So that's always going to help if the three-point shooting is not there. But they were 50% in the last game, too. Some decent minutes off the bench. So here we go, chat. Duke wins the tip. Cooper Flagg's going to get the first look. A look inside to Jones. Is Malik getting it on the perimeter? Is he going to take a three? No. It's Flagg for three. Off the mark, chat. A little bit of a rushed offensive possession. Malik gets the tip, though. And the offensive rebound leads to points. So Malik's going to be another one that could, I mean, he could be a top. Could he be a top, I mean, top, I was going to say top 5. Could he be top 3? But he could be a top 5 pick by the time this is all said and done as well. It would not be surprising with just the solid baseline of skills that you get. Because it does seem like, again, we've talked about with Cooper Flagg, that's a nice thing you get with Cooper Flagg, is you know what the baseline of skills with Cooper Flagg is. And yes, he has this awesome upside as well, too. But there is a connectivity and just a really solid, I mean, like, is he Denny Advia at worst, Is he, Denny Advia might be 6'9" himself, but it just seems like that's almost worst case scenario for Cooper Flagg. And then maybe he's also first team All-NBA, second team All-NBA at some point as well, too. Who knows? But, again, outside of him, it does seem like there's some variance with the draft guys. And we need to go through and study them a little bit more. Again, the Rutgers guys aren't in the tournament to get the extra close eye as well, too, for this tournament run. So that's also going to help Malik as well, too. It's just some of these tournament guys are eliminated. Edgecombe from Baylor. Duke took down Baylor in the last game. But again, with what you know, the potential elite baseline skills. And as I say that, he gets faked out by Love, and then Cooper Flagg with the help defense, chat, is able to adjust the shot. Gets it to Knipple. Con Knipple, shout out. Not able to finish, but the ball movement, the corner three. Simon James with a couple of points right away, chat. Is it just a random James game? It's been these guys all year. Like we said, Proctor the first couple of games. Flag, of course, just been solid all the way around. But you get a couple of sort of Proctor highlight games. And now who's the random guy that's doing that? Malik running the floor. Oh, the dunk. No foul. The defense is good, chat, and they stop the transition, but Malik, a terrifying beast in transition, chat. Nobody can stop him, and Arizona cans the three. So they're going to go, chat. They're going to go. I don't know if their defense is necessarily, oh, yeah, Malik's going to be an issue. They're the rim rolls. And shout out, I want to say this guy's name right, and hopefully I am, chat. Oh, he was an Oakland player. That's right. Played with Campy, chat. Shout out Townsend. 16, 17 a game. So unfortunately, the volume hasn't been able to translate to Arizona, but the efficiency from the field's been there. 54% from 2-point range this year. 32% from three is not ideal, but 4 rebounds as well too. So at least another solid tournament guy that you can rely on. Flag from 3. Duke unfazed, chat. Right away. Oh, we got an Arizona 3. Okay, I'm not going to have peek and be cheating on what the score is. This is good. We can just have the stats and pretend not to know what's going on ahead of time. Oh, flag on the closeout. Arizona staying disciplined. And Del Orso. Am I saying that right? Del Orso? 2 for 2 from 3 to start. He's talking to the crowd. He's waving at the Arizona thing on his chest. Del Orso's not scared, people. He's ready for the moment. Oh, and he just hacks Cooper Flag driving to the rim. It's obviously a foul, but again, you're establishing the tone. Don't come in the paint, Cooper Flag. Don't come down here. Pause. Can't give up that 3 on the switch to Flag. So we'll see if this is like a maybe Flag has to kind of take over a little bit. But, I mean, you can just see his feel for getting other guys involved early is just fantastic as well, too. I mean, the team is getting him the ball. The team is obviously running stuff through him and willing to let him take over when he needs to. I mean, he's obviously proven himself worthy, but he's finding guys in the corner. He's playmaking. He's making sure that we're running the pick and roll stuff early on. It's just the Arizona floor spacing right now and 3-point shooting. 3 for 3 from 3. Zona. Where are they playing this game at? Jersey, too. It's in, kind of Duke territory. Duke definitely more home court advantage than Arizona. And hopefully I remember seeing that right. I didn't actually see what it said on the court when I said that. I was just thinking I remembered it correctly from seeing it perfect. Yeah, there we go, chat. Newark, New Jersey. Prudential. I mean, what kind of knockout blows have happened in Prudential, chat? We've had some great UFC moments, I'm sure, in this arena. And maybe tonight, Cooper Flag and Duke get knocked out by Arizona. And Del Orso, like we're saying, not Caleb Love. I mean, he can be that heat check guy, but he's still, and just from an NBA thing as well, too, there's still a bit of a 4-on-1 aspect with him out there a little bit, where maybe he's a little Cam Thomas-y, almost. Cam Thomas, definitely the better shot maker, but, oh, banks it in, chat. Oh, that, Bradley. Jordan Bradley, let's go. Jaden Bradley, what was his name, chat? Bradley. Doesn't matter. He calls glass, he gets to go. 8-2 run. Definitely hitting some difficult baskets, but that's part of the game, chat. Oh, here's James again. No good. No good. Hopefully that's not him in his head a little bit. Jaden Bradley. Over Proctor from the mid-range. That looked almost like a good banker, chat. Almost looked like he might have called that one intentionally. Wow. So early Arizona up. So again, Cooper Flag's feel. He's kind of letting some of these other guys go. I think he'll definitely have to take over a little bit here. More so than he has. Again, as Arizona's definitely, a better team than they played in this tournament in the first 2 rounds. But again, with guys like Simon James, who they just kind of need, it's like you spray it out to him. He hits a 3. Proctor's been in that role. They're probably going to be forced. So, they know Couple and Proctor are going to be elite in that role, and they're going to be have to focus on taking him out. So James is definitely going to be getting looks, and he's going to be there. It's going to be a can he make or break us type. You like, what's his 3-point percentage on the year? Let's see. Is that just a simple scouting note of looking that up and saying, hey, 32%, let's just leave him open. 39, so he is a good 3-point shooter as well too. And I mean, the Duke versatility in the lineup all the way through is part of the reason that they are as great of a team as they are, chat. But I mean, if all the guys as well, he's just kind of the name at this point, especially again with the way that Proctor has played in the tournament, that you kind of have to rely on. And he does have the 0 for 5 game in there, 0 for 3 from 3, you know, for 2 for 6, not like he's been lighting it up here as of late, and just in general in the season, you know, a little bit of a lower volume guy. But 50-40, chat, 50-40-80, Simon James. I mean, there's a reason all these Duke guys are at the top of the list. This is a good way to look at it here, chat. Where was he at? Oh, he was at 50. He was still above Proctor, though. But as a senior, I get, you know, again, the points and the rebounds being low. Like, he's the 5th guy on this stacked Duke team. Yeah, age, okay, whatever. 3 minuses for the draft age. Yikes, Jack. They said 20, so he'll be, what, like 23? I mean, at some point next year, whatever. If you're a good team. Yeah, the Clippers, I get 49. That's a steal, honestly. You get Zion James at 49. LA's winning the draft, chat. That's a great move. And all the shooting numbers project out to be great. Efficient playmaker as well, too. Low turnover guy. And 4.5 assists a game. Again, the point number being low is almost a credit. Almost put that in the green. Like, hey, he's playing with these other playmakers and letting them do their thing and being efficient in this role. So you could look at that and go, okay, well, he's the 4th guy on the stacked Duke team. Is he getting, again, some incredibly wide open looks? Sure, but he's efficient. And if you take him to the NBA, he's probably, you know, obviously nothing's going to be as wide open as it is in college potentially, but you're going to be getting the same sort of lesser focus because of, you know, the other stars you could potentially be with. So who's Hugo Gonzalez? You know, we got to keep our eye on any potential Hispanic players making their way into the NBA. Like I was going to say, my guess is, and shout out to all our Spaniards out there, there definitely are some great 3-point shooting Spaniards, but not always, chat. Not always. I would not say it is the best trait that we have. Half, I guess. I can claim half. And 6'6", 207. I guess would we just draft an athletic ability? Just flying around. 19. Hugo Gonzalez, former soccer player. Is the right draft board, chat? Okay, now we're just going too far. But is that Bradley again, chat? Absorbing the contact, so it's Bradley in the tournament that has taken a scoring role, and he's 3 for 5 so far. Getting to the rim, it doesn't matter. Proctor floating it up breaks the scoring run here for Arizona. Another little 7-0 scoring run, but they almost look like the better team. I know that Duke is the better team, but they're playing faster. They're playing more physical. Again, that could be motivation. That could just be Duke and the level of testedness that they have, I guess, if that's a word, so far. And just, again, the motivation of Arizona being like everybody's talking, like literally nobody's giving Arizona a chance. Everybody's just kind of penciling Duke in to win the national title. So they're motivated, chat. I mean, they've got people to prove wrong. That's for sure. And again, not maybe, again, with the NBA stuff, that can also be a thing. Oh, shout out Tankathon. He's on it, chat. 1 hour ago. Maybe he's watching the stream. Did you hear us call him out? Shout out Tankathon. You're doing good work over there. You're the best in the business. We always support. So every 11 days, our man's on giving updates. That's why he's top notch, chat. But we got Carter Bryant and KJ Lewis as the guys that our Tankathon friends are keeping an eye on for this game from the Arizona side of things. Proctor unleashes another 3. And he could be a title-type player. He could be motivated to win the title. He was on the team, chat. He's been on these teams the last couple of years that have fallen short. And now that he has this supporting cast, quote unquote, again, is a Cooper Flag supporting cast, but Proctor as a veteran guy for this team. And again, Sion is a veteran as well too, but how many years has he actually been on? Yeah, he's been at Tulane for his entire career. And just efficient, I guess, each of the last 2 seasons, not necessarily through the first 3, but later in his college career, definitely found the 3-point stroke. And it doesn't look too bad tonight, I know, again, hopefully the consistency is there for him. But Proctor so far is 13 for 16 in the tournament from 3. Going into this game, second Duke player with 6 made threes in consecutive tournament games. What's that, like Redick or Seth Curry or something? Shout out Seth Curry for us naming him in that list. Grant Hill, maybe? Grant Hill didn't hit 6 threes in 2 tournament games back to back. Not in the 90s, Chad. There's no way. They wouldn't have let him. They'd have been like, Grant Hill's like, I've made 5 threes in this game. They're like, nope, you can't take any more. Sorry, you've taken too many threes. It's the 90s. We hate 3-pointers. It's just what it is. The only flaw of the 90s was anti-3-pointer. Pull up. There we go. So Arizona pulling up that time mid-range. Duke defender there in good defensive position in the Arizona defender offensive player's face. Pause. And that time they're able to not get it to go. So, again, they've been hitting some tough baskets here. We'll see as the Duke defense just continues to lock in and continues this ball movement. Like, the recipe is here, chat. Almost, it's like the fighter that, again, go back to the fighting thing, they use a little bit too much energy in the first round. Like, Arizona really was playing with some intensity and some big adrenaline energy here to start. There probably will be a settling in, a little bit of a crash, a little bit of a come down from that type of high. Whereas, like we're saying, Duke is leveled and used to these circumstances, and maybe there's a calmness that, again, we're going to be able to project they maintain throughout this game because the calmness they had in the stretch right now. And going to the bench as well, too, is going to be interesting. Is Duke, it's still a deep team in the fact that they have 5 guys that, the top 5 is as good as any 5 that we've seen, in however many years, whatever we want to say there. But the depth for this Arizona team and the depth for this Duke team when these bench minutes are being played, is Cooper Flag going to play 38 minutes today? He might as well just play 40 minutes at that point. Proctor, are Flag and Proctor going to play 40 minutes? Have they even been, I don't think they've been subbed out to this point, chat. Little Foster, little Gongba, Silent N on the front there maybe. And yeah, now Bryant and Lewis. So both of the Arizona NBA guys are off the bench for this team, chat. So maybe this Arizona team is a little bit more stacked than people are giving them credit for. If the NBA talent is still, from an on-the-court basketball standpoint, not able to match the production of some of these other guys. So again, we just wait and see. It should be a fun first half to keep an eye on here. But now we're tipping off officially Arkansas versus Texas Tech. A battle of the Red Raiders? Razorbacks? I guess there's no red in the Arkansas name, but it looks like a spring game, chat. It looks like we're just the same team, wearing the same jerseys, same units. But we got Calipari and Chris Beard, not Calipari and Calipari. Well, there'll be an AI basketball bracket at some point. AI college for the AI bots. Will AI have to have a team in the tournament? It's like, hey, there's a new AI college and we need full representation, and the AI bots really want to play in the NCAA tournament, and they said that they're going to blow up the world if they don't, so we're probably going to have to let them in. Oh, and they're probably going to have to be a 1 seed, too, because they don't want to necessarily play a difficult path. Even though, like we're saying, sometimes the 8-9 can be a little tricky matchup. So, well, whatever 8 seed is most built to play the robots, we'll try to, work that team into that side of the bracket. But Texas Tech now, like they're showing on the graphic, another sneaky, just in the tournament every year, the defense and the toughness of Chris Beard. Maybe we need to start bringing him up as, well, I guess, I don't know what the full history is there, chat, but, maybe we need to start bringing up him for the basketball stuff again. Is it time? Can we start talking about Chris Beard as a top basketball coach? Because there is a consistency that you get with his teams every year. It's You know, is he gonna win? Does Chris Beard feel like a guy that's gonna win the national title? No, but again, he's not Kirk Cousins. I don't think he's 8-8 in the regular season. You know, the 4,000 yards and like Kirk Cousins could definitely give you some maybe better numbers than some of the wins would ultimately result out into some of the times. But again, maybe not like, oh yeah, every year Chris Beard's gonna be competing for the national title. Like, just lock that in. But again, his teams are always at the end of the playoffs every year. There's always a defense and a toughness that is translatable every game. And you really have to grind out these wins. I feel like, yeah, if we went back in the history, there's probably a recent one where they did get beat pretty bad. But I feel like they never necessarily get taken down. It's not necessarily the most memorable games either. But, you know, they did make the national title as well, too, recently with, what was that? Was that Jarrett Culver, chat? Who was on that Texas Tech team? I think Jarrett Culver took this team to the national title. Shout out Jarrett Culver. Still have stock. Still think he could be a decent NBA player. Was he a good three-point shooter? 34%. That's what it was. That's what it was, chat. There's always something. But that Big Ten Player of the Year, you know? And I guess that was for his career in 2 seasons. So it actually went backwards that one season. 30%. Yikes. That should have been a sign. But yeah, he was still able to get to the rim. Still, you know, the mid-range game was strong. I don't know if he was like a full-on DeRozan, but, you know, there was some stuff there in the two-way aspect as well, too. And I believe it was Jared Butler, Baylor, Davion Mitchell that ended up... Oh, Virginia, chat. That's right. Virginia. Who did Baylor take down in their national title game? Was that Gonzaga, maybe? I'm just throwing out names. I might just read it. Of the teams that are on this list, it was most likely Gonzaga because they've been in a national title game. I guess more recently than Michigan, but, you know, maybe a little bit more consistently in the mix over the last couple of years. But, yeah, the Tony Bennett team ended up taking down that Texas Tech team. The defense and the Kyle Guy and DeAndre Hunter. Ty Jerome. I mean, we should have known looking back that Ty Jerome would have been too much. So, pause. So, Malik out of the game now for Duke. And Delorso back in, chat. Delorso was the guy with the three-point shooting that was bringing the energy and hitting some big shots. And I don't know if they've scored since they subbed him out. They haven't scored in the last 3 minutes. So the last couple of seconds of that were with him on the court there. And I don't remember exactly for how long he sat. So the streak will continue. Oh, there's a foul here. Wait, they go to the line, maybe break that streak. But for field goals anyways, that streak will continue. They missed. But maybe bringing his floor spacing back in will help. And Gillis, shout out, I was almost at Shane, shout out Mason Gillis. We'll see if he ends up getting big minutes tonight as well. But again, still Cooper Flag out there. So I'm thinking Cooper Flag pulls a 40 is crazy, but I'm thinking he pulls a 40 tonight. It's just what it is. He'll pull a 40 and then he'll pull a 40 and then he'll pull a 40. Yikes. It's just what it is. But Cooper Flag, you can do it all. Triple threat. The man's a menace to society. The white menace to society. Cooper Flag. Who would have guessed, chat? Who would have guessed? Oh, the main character. That's what it was. Again, shout out Tate Frazier. That's the other nickname we thought he was throwing around out there. I don't know if you got that one off of TikTok, but what a great nickname. Cooper Flag from Maine, chat. I don't even know how long that one's been in existence. And the college page doesn't have the nicknames on it, so that's a bit of a letdown sometimes. But when he goes to the NBA, I mean, that's got to be one of the first ones you throw on there. I don't know if that's shout out to the last stream when we were looking up Larry Nance and the old Slambassador, but it's in the at least A- tier of nicknames. The main character, and for what he is the potential, you know, face of American white basketball, chat. I mean, there's main character energy there as well too. And I guess, you know, face of American basketball. We'll see. We'll see. There's still, I mean, we still can't count out Anthony Edwards. Still seems like a pretty decent bet. I mean, Paolo, chat. We can claim Paolo now. Half the face of American basketball, half the face of Italian basketball. And, of course, you know, well, I guess I was going to say Luka Doncic, but that's more face of the NBA than it is, again, like we were saying, American basketball. But now the bench players from Duke are hitting threes, chat. The sub portion of the game is where it has turned. And if Duke, oh, I guess, you know, they had the lead there. It's like if they get the lead, are they going to be like lock it in? They're not going to give up the lead. But Duke obviously playing from in front and playing even more comfortably is tough. And Arizona on the opposite end of that, where, you know, if they're playing loose and playing with that confidence. I mean, who's not better when they're playing loose, Chad? Hey, yo, so the center poked in the eye. So do we bring Malik back in, chat? I guess I don't know what the foul situation is for Malik here. Let's check. Was he at 2 fouls? Potentially? Yeah, 2 fouls already. So 9:45 left. It's going to be a long first half here for Malik as he sits down. But again, with the floor spacing and stuff, you definitely can, of course, get away with a reduced role from the bigs and let your perimeter step up and continue to create. And that'll just continue to open up for Knuppel again as well, too. Who 1 for 1 today from the field. Still hasn't necessarily gotten a ton of run in terms of looks in this tournament. So we're waiting on the Knuppel game. Right now we're potentially staring down. I get another Proctor game potentially. The Scion game. Again, Flag 1 for 5 as well, too. Hasn't really registered its 5, but again, 4 rebounds, an assist in there. 2 offensive, 2 defensive for the rebounds as well, too. So, you know, you see him definitely being active. And if we were going minutes with the... He's not necessarily like a minutes with the ball leader, but like I say, he's touching it a lot on these possessions. Pause. Shot clock running down off the inbound. Love on the turnaround, chat. Not able to get it to go. So they're going to have to need Love. Especially, like we're saying, in some of these bench moments. Bradley off on the bench. Where's Carter? Where's Lewis, chat? These guys are NBA players. Where were they at? Were they first round guys? Okay, 35-42. Respect. But they're not, I mean, not much from anybody right now from Arizona, but I'm not seeing a definite standout from those bench guys that were supposed to be, and I'm just not supposed to, I'm not turning to Stephen A. Hey, these guys are supposed to be NBA players. What's going on? But I'm just saying. Oh, Delorso draws the charge. He's going to have to be the main character for Arizona. Duke has their main character. Delorso, don't know if he's from Maine. The South Dakota side piece. I don't know where he's from, chat. Do we need to get a Delorso hometown? Anthony Delorso? The man's also probably... Oh, Australia! The Melbourne... What is he, chat? The Melbourne, Maine? The Melbourne, Maine character? Is there something in there? Maybe? And that's on James as well, too. So, as Duke continues to maybe lose some of this starting 5 with some foul trouble, we'll see if that becomes an issue for them. 41% from 3, 90% from the free throw line. 6'6" guard. You see the energy? Maybe we need to stick Delorso on this list, chat. 3-year players, 2 years out of Campbell. I don't know what the athletic testing would be if we, you know, put him in a combine setting, chat. But just watching him as a basketball player, good basketball player. He'll be a good pro somewhere. You see the efficiency throughout his career, near 50% from the field, both seasons at Campbell, and then 38% from 3 that second year as well, too, 19 points a game. How is he on not like a conference All-American honors type guy that year? That's crazy. And we're not, I mean, Duke and Arizona, of course, is main characters all the way around, chat. Unfortunately for Arkansas and Texas Tech, it's just what it is. And speaking of Knuppel, there's the Knuppel 3. Is that Knuppel's mom, chat? Hey, yo! Speaking of Knuppel, anyway! 11-0 run by Duke in the last 5 minutes. Texas Tech, Arkansas up by 10. Arkansas staring down a run, chat. A potential matchup with Florida, a potential in-conference matchup, the familiarity. Calipari with familiarity? Is that the secret sauce, chat? Is that the formula for success? We'll see if Calipari gets in the film room with the X's and O's and is able to drop a new game plan. But if they're able to hold out and get the win here, I mean, if you're going to face a team as an underdog, at least a team that you've played before, is a pretty decent advantage. So offensively, it might seem like Arkansas is just a little a step ahead in the early part of the game. So that's like we were saying for Texas Tech, There's a consistency with them. It's Sweet 16. It is Sweet 16. I mean, let's see here, chat. What's the Chris Beard recent run turning into? Is it anything? Shout out the Magic? Shout out. I forget the name of the Magic announcing team, Orlando Magic, but they have a segment on that broadcast, which we've watched a lot of Magic this year, chat. They've been, of course, in the early window a lot, and even without Paolo, with Franz, with Franz, it's Franz. What can I say? You got me. We like watching our guy Franz. But yeah, it'll be Sweet 16 this year for Texas Tech. Looking back, 100-1 to win the title this year. You were seeming pretty good about that if you bet that for the season with them making this run here, especially with St. John's going out. The Johnnies, were they Texas Tech foil in the bracket, chat? So you've got, I guess, them missing the tournament at 60-16 a couple years ago. But, oh, where's Chris Beard been at, chat? Yikes. Where'd Chris Beard, is this where, I was trying to remember what the full Chris Beard storyline was. Is he at, yeah, he went to Texas, and now he's at Ole Miss. Hey, he's back again, chat. It all still stands. Chris Beard's got Ole Miss making a run. I mean, Ole Miss might take down Michigan State next year. So, IT, clip what we said next year, edit it out to say Ole Miss, and play it again tomorrow. Because it all still stands. He still makes the tournament every year. He's faced a guy. Maybe in a lot of ways, chat, but regardless, look at that. 4 out of the last 5 years, outside of the first year having to turn Ole Miss around. So, I don't know. Do we dare? I mean, I'm not trying to put the guy on blast. I'm just trying to remember what exactly happened, chat. Hey, yo. So, I hate to go into the weeds with Chris Beard, but if it says on the Chris Bread. I hate to go into the weeds with Chris Beard, chat, but it's just what it is. Arrest. Oh, was it bad? I'm trying to remember now. I think it was bad. Let's see. Is that Ole Miss? 3rd-degree felony assault. Strangulation. Chris Beard. IT. Cut that out. Chris Beard. Wild guy, chat. Yikes. So in terms of the basketball stuff, like we were saying, his team seemed to do pretty well, but who knows? I was going to say, is he PJ Carlissimo? But turns out he's turning a Latrell Sprewell, it turns out. But either way, chat, Texas Tech, without Chris Beard, has managed to get back into, you can't even say get back into Chris Beard territory, chat, because that's a yikes. But anyways, sorry, Grant McCasklin. It's just what it is. North Texas, Arkansas State. Oh, Kevin Harlan's making some announcements, chat. What just happened? Arkansas with a massive dunk. I just heard the rim shake, and was it a 3? Texas Tech 0 for 7 from 3 to start. 11-point lead for Arkansas here as well. In transition, the 3-pointer swinging the ball. Oh, from deep, chat. Arkansas is firing. Number 11 is the one leading the way, it looks like. He's 3 for 3 from 3 so far. 3 for 3 from 3. It's just what it is. He's on fire. He's the winner of the tournament. You need these guys, chat. Oh, the block, chat. The block inside. Arkansas can't be stopped. Transition again. Oh, he blocks it on one and a 3 on the other. I think he was feeling himself a little bit too much there, chat. Hero ball play for sure. A heat check a little bit too early. Calipari, take him out. You can't let him override the team. But either way, the defense is locking in right now. Oh, he's all over the place, chat. He knocks the ball out of bounds. It's just what it is. Ivisic is a menace in this game. Oh, Calipari does take him out. It's a lot of good, but it's a little too much. A lot of energy. He's an in-doses player. He's like a 5-hour, not even a 5-hour, a 5-minute energy, chat. Hey, yo. But you get what we're saying. Just a little pick-me-up off the bench. Arizona 7-7 versus 1 seeds. Interesting. Still down 2. Cooper Flag driving to the rim, chat. Oh, there we go. Second field goal make of the game for Flag. So, again, 4 points with Flag just kind of setting guys up even. I guess we were saying Flag needs to go into takeover mode. Flag just needs to start getting, some consistent buckets. Just a non-liability from a shot-making standpoint. Oh, would be nice. But even with the other additive stuff, they're still doing okay. So, Caleb Love, isolation. Okay, finds a guy at the rim, but the hands are too quick. Duke strips it away, chat. And Gillis, who's this backup center? I forget his name. The bench minutes are still able to keep him in front. So Malik, obviously gives you the size, the flying around, the athleticism. But again, the quick hands, the quickness, the speed, the big is giving you a look either way. So Caleb Love, 2 for 2 from 3. 2 for 5 from the field. He's having a hard time, again, sort of in the interior, finding the separation on some of that mid-range stuff. So just not continuing to force bad looks and just taking those threes that come your way. Because, again, he's going to get some good looks with their spacing and their ball movement right now. They're running looks for him. They lose him on the switch, and he just takes advantage. I was about to hit him with the bang, but too early in the game. 6:30 in the first half, 6:39. You can't quite start busting out the Mike Breen catchphrases yet. Only, major moments only, chat. Only for real time. Oh, and great pass from number 5 to Flag. Or number 6, sorry. The backup center, number 6. What's his name, chat? We need to actually get a look here. Brown? Shout out Brown. His first box score entrance of the game. Only in his first minute of the game. He's getting... He's knocking the ball away from the defenders. Oh, there's a foul there, but that looks ticky-tacky. Again, Brown. Is that on Gillis? It wasn't even on our guy. Chat, I'm in. I'm in. He's playing well tonight. He's winning me over. Who do we got here, chat? Malik, Malia, Maya, Mikel, Brown, Jones, Makaya. It's got to be Malik, right? Shout out. Oh, here we go, chat. All defense this year. Wow. Wow. In our Owen Wilson bag. I didn't look at the ACC all defensive teams before the tournament, and it was a mistake from Syracuse. Only 2 points a game on the season. 4 rebounds, 2 points, 4 rebounds in 17 minutes. I don't know if he's necessarily like wowing you on the paper with some of the numbers. Half a block a game, but I like the energy and I like the speed. What are we looking at here, chat? 6'8", 213. A forward. They got him playing small, kind of 5 right now. Ish. Him and Flag in the front court. But it's not like Arizona's running a big man lineup either way. I guess they do have a center out there, but he's not necessarily a physical and force, chat. Not necessarily imposing as well. Sion staying patient at the rim. The pump fakes. The drive. So the Spurs almost just have to draft a Duke guy, chat. You just if this team wins a national title, then the draft board almost becomes just take a Duke guy. Because again, we know that Flag is gonna be the NBA priority player, but one of these other Duke guys is obviously going to be something else too. And I know, again, like we look at that Anthony Davis team. I don't know if that's actually the case. Like there are times where we may think that, like, okay, the supporting cast around, like somebody has to emerge and be a impactful NBA guy as well too. And other guys get drafted like that with that thought in mind. But it doesn't mean that, of course, it always happens. Davis, of course, lived up to the hype in every way possible. For the rest of the roster, Dorian Lamb, Michael Gilchrist, Terrence Jones, Darius Miller, Marcus Teague, chat. So, I mean, again, they all definitely went to the NBA. Kentucky, that's what you're thinking. Kyle Wilcher ended up going to Gonzaga. And Terrence Jones, Michael Gilchrist, there was some highlights for sure. Terrence Jones had some impactful Rockets moments. You know, 18th pick in the draft. Take a shot. Again, a guy that maybe in a better situation, his skills are more impactful as well. Dorian Lamb, was Dorian Lamb a top 10 pick? Was he a first round pick? Yeah, 42nd pick in the draft. I was going to say, I don't remember his name being up that high, unfortunately. But Kid Gilchrist was like second, right? Yeah, second overall pick behind Davis. So, yeah, I guess you just assume, hey, it's got to be the two best players in college basketball. But like we're saying, are Cooper Flagg and Malik going to go 1 and 2 this year? Could that potentially happen? I would assume one of the Rutger guys would still be that second pick. And on the Ringer, their draft guide, Kyle Mann, has Edgecombe over one of... did he have Edgecombe over... I think he had him over Harper. Or over Bailey, sorry. He had Flagg, Harper, Edgecombe, and then Bailey as his top 4. So, you know, I guess it's not just, again, with them not making the tournament, probably not solidified that they're just 2 and 3 locked in. But if there is variance to be had there, maybe like we're saying again with the run with some of these Duke guys, maybe one of these other guys are able to jump up. But like we're saying, 5 in the first round, it could be since some of those early Calipari Kentucky days that we've seen. I mean, how many in that 2014 team got drafted in the first round? And they're tied right now with Arizona, so you can't even like say that they would win this game. But again, this Arizona team is a good team as well too. Like you can clearly see this is a really good matchup for Duke. Caleb Love, obviously, you know, as a name values player to have, is a star player that we know can have these tournament runs. But the Duke individual talent is in the individual skill, and it's maybe the level at which Arizona is making them play as well too. That is definitely jumping off. Of course, they're pushing them. The defense is tough, and again, like Duke going toe for toe with Arizona is not quote unquote impressive, as if they are the better team. But again, you're just seeing the level to which the skill can be had, and you're seeing the guys taking each other off the dribble. You're seeing the passing. You're seeing the ball movement. Arizona, they're running really good sets right now. They're really crisp in their execution, but they're not necessarily freeness the same way. I guess Caleb Love is sort of a freewheeling type player, so he's going to let the team kind of gravitate that way when he's handling and he's running the offense that way in general. But Arkansas stays busy, chat, pause. 22-14. The pull up from the mid, he doesn't go. But he definitely had the good look there. So I know I was going to say they're not saying Texas Tech is not a great three-point shooting team is not a hot take. They were 0 for 7 last time they showed the three-point shooting stats. But they're definitely head down, getting to the rim. I mean, they're just searching out those shots anyway. So there's a 3, chat. Oh, if it wasn't 0 for 8 already, it's 0 for 8 now. Still not getting another one to go. Arkansas on the other end. Oh, exchanging misses. So not necessarily from a quality of play standpoint. They don't look like... I know Arkansas is maybe a feisty team with Calipari as a storyline team, but they don't necessarily look like they're playing to the level of Florida as of right now. And again, you know, that's a good matchup for him, Chad. That's a good game that they just played, and that's a good potential test where you see them have, you know, really good stretches of dominance in that game. And Arkansas may, like we're saying, continue to get this lead and continue to grow this one out. Pause. But I don't know if you can see the individual sort of skill. And like I said, the defense, getting teams to play to their pace, there's more to this than just how good the teams are. And maybe I'm underrating Arkansas as well, too. Like we're saying, it's just all what the expectations are, Chad. But Flagg is now 4 for 8, so you start from 1 for 5. I mean, is that a little birdish, again, with the bird comps? But not that would Bird ever start 1 for 5, Chad. Oh, blasphemy. But that, oh, wait, is he having a bad game? No, wait a second. Couple shots. Just give him a second. He's having a good game. It's all right there. 9, 4, and 1. Double-ish watch with Flagg, Scion. I mean, again, Knuppel, Proctor, like you see all the guys right now are contributing and making plays efficiently. It's just Arizona. Arizona's 6 for 7 from the free throw line and 6 for 11 from 3. So, I mean, we're talking about a 8-point swing right here from free throws and three-pointers. And still, where was the score at here, chat? Yeah, 2-point game with 3 minutes left in the first half. Live from New Jersey, chat. So you're surprised a little bit that Duke is not getting the whistle as well, too, because, again, they are attacking. The ball movement has definitely opened up some clean looks at the rim, so they're not facing the contact the same way that Arizona is. Arizona is, like, the Duke defenders are there in a different way, and definitely, as you are, being there defensively, getting yourself in a spot to foul. I would say, Malik, again, some fouls, like some of the bigs have maybe been a little happy at this point. But outside of that, oh, yeah, the Ngamba, 3 fouls, and then Malik with 2. So like we're saying, Arizona getting to the rim, and then the Duke guys being there, unfortunately, is just not benefiting them. And they're, got to play it cleanly as well, too. Flag now, 5 for 9, 11 points, turning into an elite game. But regardless, that just goes to Duke's credit as well, too, that they're getting some more open looks around there. And again, but on that last possession, Sion, his patience around the rim. And there we go, Caleb Williams again, driving to the rim, getting free throws. So it's what's keeping them in this game. Who would have thought the refs would have wanted to keep Arizona in the game against Duke? But they know how to balance the entertainment value here. They're doing a great job keeping Arizona 4 points. This will keep them within 2. They know, Duke's going to get the ball back and have a chance to score. Maybe back right up 4, neutralize it. If they are as good as they say we are. Or Arizona just continues to make it close, Chad. So, yeah, Caleb Love off the 30-point game in the last time. And, again, you go 2 potential, who knows what the history of this Arizona team ends up being. But you end up maybe in your history with 2 Final Four runs if you're Caleb Love. And that's pretty impressive. And with the transfer portal as well, too, as much as we're going to give it, all the crap for, how it's going to change college basketball. Maybe it becomes like an NBA thing, a professional thing is not a good thing. But in the way you talk about how a player, it's like, hey, there is something special about he took a couple of different teams to the finals. It's like, hey, in college, that's a possibility now in a way that it wasn't before. Like, Caleb Love went to a couple of different teams. And again, a couple of different players, a couple of different levels of circumstance, a couple of different levels of responsibility. He's still able to manage to take those teams to the Final Four and be a big part and big shot maker. And was still the lead perimeter guy. As much as those teams were still like the bigs and the wings, was still the lead perimeter creator and had to set all those guys. That was maybe even a little bit more point guardy at times earlier on, chat, but you see him now as well too. His sort of in and out of the offense is good pace with that as well, and then attacking, looking for hunting his shot when he needs. So that's what we were hoping for. Not necessarily too much aggressive. 2 for 6. Like Bradley, he's letting Bradley get his looks. You're still going to want him to be up as the top, near shot maker in the team. But Delorso, he was cooking early, get him the ball. But then everybody else, Bryant 0 for 4, chat. Lewis 1 for 3. So nobody else is really even doing anything. Outside, like we said, this team getting to the free throw line. It's been a struggle for them to actually make the shots. So as the game gets closer near the end, too, and as the whistle, maybe they don't want to start calling stuff to decide the fate of the game, or they just call everything. I guess that'll maybe depend the Arizona, how they're able to stay in that close game. Because if Duke is able to play with a little bit of physicality near the end, we see, again, the defense is good enough that they're not doing too bad from the field. What was their field percentage? 42%. They're getting outshot by 13% from the field. But again, they're still managing to get those extra points from those various possessions, Chad. 26-19, 7 points. Texas Tech will not go away. But I don't know, offensively, can they close this kind of a lead? You buckle down, you get a couple of stops. It's a long game. You just ride it out. But I don't know if they're like a team of spurts or they like more playing slow. But there we go. They get the roller. 21-26 with a little mid-ranger. So if they're going to make the comeback, I'm not saying they need to start now, obviously, you know. Again, still a lot of time in the game, but I think there's maybe a slower grind Texas Tech team. If we're just going to stereotype them from Texas Tech teams in the past, they would maybe need that advantage of some extra minutes. It's just what it is. But Calipari timeout, 28-27. Not happy with the fact that Arkansas is gaining a little momentum. So let's double check those ratings real fast for Texas Tech. Were they like a top 25 defensive team? 72 in defense, 7th in offense. Okay, so McCaslin he's breaking Texas Tech stereotypes, chat. He's got him playing a little bit more offense, but 72 in defense is still pretty good. And they were 9th in the AP as well, too. Top 10 team. So even more impressive as well, too, what Arkansas continues to perform. 2 minutes left in the first half. Duke by 2. We got Caleb Love, top of the key. Another foul. And Malik finally back in the game, just immediately rolling to the rim, the impact. So, again, not able to even be at full force, you know, for this first half, and they're still winning this game. So, the Sam propaganda has gotten to us, chat. We are invested in Duke from a bracket standpoint. I'm disgusted with myself. But, you know, we picked him to win, so it is what it is. You kind of just like, hey, it'd be nice if my bracket was right. You get competitive in that aspect. And Cooper Flag, chat. We mentioned the shots. 15 minutes so far in this first half. So he did go to the bench at one point. I guess, again, they were still managing to play well, so it was... So shout out Sion James, a focus on Sion James, but still logging heavy minutes so far, of course. And we could definitely see full first half. So 11-3 free throw advantage for the first half to Arizona, and it's a tied game. Oh, and Knipple throws it out the backcourt, tipped by an Arizona defender. So Duke's ball with 17 seconds left on the shot clock. Do we call that a nip slip? Anytime Con Knipple makes a mistake, we call it a nip slip. That was more of a Justin Timberlake, you know, nip unveiling. The defender kind of knocked that one away, so not really on Knipple, but still. And Flag gets to the rim, gets free throws, and now 11 field goal attempts, and that's going to be his first trip to the free throw line. So we've seen him now, you know, match the production of nearly, you know, the entire starting lineup, chat. Getting pretty close. 11-15-ish. It's almost there. And now we have, 2 to 3 free throws. 4 to 3 rebounds. James does have 3 assists. 8 and 3 tonight for James. I'm buying stock, chat. I'm buying stock. I'm not calling the account right when we get off here and saying, Sion James. Buy it before it raises more in the second half. Maybe we wait till it dips later in the tournament. I don't know what we have to do now, chat. But I'm just going to remember this performance. Remember some of the good tape that he's putting on the court. Little weave up top. Love rejecting the screen. Proctor too physical on the drive. So now they're not even fouling at the rim. The whistle has just gotten progressively worse for Duke over the course of the half. Now Caleb Love's just turning the corner. Proctor, he's not getting out of the way and just letting Caleb Love's drive to the rim for the layup. Caleb Proctor knows he's not supposed to be playing defense against Caleb Love. He's a star. And another chance to tie it. So, I mean, they're going to have like 3 times as many free throw attempts in this first half. Caleb Love responsible for 5 of them. Shout out for him just flying into the basket fearlessly in these possessions. And you're putting the ref in a difficult spot. The college refs are more likely to give you the call. So maybe outside of Cooper Flag, like we're saying, nobody on Duke able to get that respect. Flag with the step back, though. Midi, tough shot. And now the shot making is on display from Flag in a real way. We haven't seen it needed to be unlocked in the tournament yet, but he's in his bag. And the midi is fun, too. I mean, he's got the three-pointer in his repertoire, of course. But an NBA mid-range creator guy, a little Devin Booker-y with some of the offensive stuff. Oh, Caleb Williams laces the three right back. Chat, we're in for a duel. Caleb Love versus Cooper Flag. Legacies will be stamped. Caleb Love, when we talk about him, the rumor in 100 years might be he was on North Carolina in this game. Like, remember when Cooper Flag and North Carolina played in the Sweet 16? Oh, wait, no, Caleb Love, Arizona. That's right, chat. That's what it was. But rumors will spread. I mean, the rivalry will be remembered, or Arizona will be remembered as the North Carolina of the day. There will be some sort of version of the story that gets twisted around. There's going to be versions of these college events that aren't true, chat. Somehow, you know, certain teams are going to... Like UFC, people are actually going to be like, wait, UFC didn't win the national... UFC didn't win... UCF. UCF didn't win the national title that one year? Central Florida? Was that Dylan Gabriel on that team, maybe? I even forget who the quarterback was that year. Who was the quarterback that unfortunately got hurt that one year? I remember his injury, and he was after... They had what, Derek Carr? No, not Carr. Carr was in the Mountain West. They had Bortles there for a second. Then they had that other guy that... I'm just not remembering his name, chat. It is what it is. 30 seconds. Duke made 10 of their last 13. And again, Arizona still managed to be with a Knuppel. I mean, this is what we're saying. The skill level of Duke. They're matching field goals with free throws. And not that free throws isn't a skill. But the shot making has been crazy. The offense, the ball movement. Knuppel popping out for the open three, unafraid. Bam, bam, chat. Locked and loaded. Oh, Love, can he respond? Off the front of the rim. Arizona not able to corral the rebound. Cooper Flag pulling up. Oh! You know it was going to go, chat. You know he's unstoppable, and Duke is somehow up 5. 6? Somehow up 6 in a brutal half. That almost covers. I think they were like 6.5 going into this game. So Duke is somehow right on pace for where they should be. A late flurry, the shot making, Cooper Flag, Con Knuppel, Tyrese Proctor, and the whole crew, chat. Can Caleb Love outlast him in the second half? We will just have to see. And we will see, I guess, if Texas Tech can ever close this lead on Arkansas as well, too. But that will wrap it up for tonight's live stream. You know we'll be back tomorrow, chat. We've got a good one tomorrow. Pause. We've got Michigan versus Auburn. I'm blinded by that game, so I don't even know what else is on, chat. Michigan State hopefully loses to Ole Miss. I guess, you know, speaking of Chris Beard, chat, we're just rooting for Michigan State to lose. That's all. That's all it is. We've got, who are the big teams left, chat? Till Houston. Houston's still in it as a 1 seed as well. So make no mistake, the college basketball action continues tomorrow. The March Madness drama does not stop here, chat. So shout out. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. And we will still be here, of course, like I said, on the YouTube tomorrow. The pod feeds are cooking. These live streams go up on the pod feeds as well. Video versions, of course, on Spotify. And we are on the socials as well. If you guys want to give us a follow over there at REMINGTOM Pod on the various socials. Instagram, of course, if you guys want to pop on the Instagram and give us a follow there as well. But yeah, tune back in tomorrow night. More college basketball action. It'll be fun. We'll be here hanging out. It's a good time, as always. So we'll see you guys in less than 24 hours. Make no mistake, chat. Get ready. Be back soon.